Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Crowdfunding Comics. Mr. Tucci, how are you doing today, Mr. Tucci?
Well, I'm doing all right, but a little bit small. Ah, there I
I
am.
made you a little bit bigger.
And maybe a little bit bigger,
I'm
like the
kind of a little
Beatles.
shy, but man, we have
I'm
quite the
actually
guest
really
on.
big in Japan, and I didn't even comb my hair today.
You
Sorry,
didn't even comb your hair, mate.
didn't comb my hair, and
Hmm?
I'm small again. Look at me, I'm like a little baby boy.
You're a
Look how
baby
small.
box in a big boy screen.
There you go.
Welcome
Well,
everyone to Crowdfunding Comics. I'm the brain of the mainframe, Niall Scal here with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Billy Tucci. What's up, buddy?
oh my God! We're a little excited today because I killed a man today with kindness.
Yes.
And I didn't need my glasses because I'm not reading anything. And we have we had a great meeting today, did we, Niall? We're closing and we are on our 48th episode with the one and only one of our great friends, but he's got to hold on for a second. But we had a great meeting today for we're closing on our 50th episode, and and now we had a great meeting today about the next 50.
Yes.
And it's just going to get crazy.
It's insane,
It's
dude.
gonna be
I was
crazy.
so pumped. I snorted like 6 pixie sticks before the show. And
Yeah,
I'm ready to
boom.
do this.
And this is my 15th red solo cup.
And this is a water bottle of whiskey.
Oh my God. Well, for goodness sakes, without further ado, by George and by golly and all that's good and right in the world, why don't we introduce our guest, one of our very first guests, one of our
Yes.
favorite guests, one of the sages of the independent comics movement, Mr. Peter Simeti.
Peter, welcome back to the show.
There he
You,
is.
you guys are too much. Oh boy.
Bro.
Oh boy.
From panels to screens, Peter Simeti is on the scene, guys. Peter, tell us, what do we have in store for folks tonight?
Oh boy, we got a good show. We've got Alterna-ween going on, and a little thing that we announced today called Alterna Distribution.
Shh. Rock and roll. Let us have it.
Well, why don't we do an introduction for any of our new viewers
Oh.
that have never met Peter before? So, Peter, do you like comics?
I guess so. A little bit.
Yeah, he got into it for the money because
Yeah.
comics is an industry, as Gary Cohn said, comic books are a career that you could literally make hundreds of dollars.
Yes.
At least every year.
Well, I'm making tens of dollars and I'm loving it.
So
No.
for those of you guys that don't know, I'm the publisher and founder of Alterna Comics. I'm also the writer of The Chair, which was turned into a film starring Roddy Piper. That was one of his last films before he died. Actually, I think it was actually his last feature film before he died. He was great. He was so wonderful. But back to Alterna-ween. We've got that up and running right now on Indiegogo, and it's a fun campaign. It really, really is. Last year we did it. This year it's Alterna-ween 2, Newsprint's Revenge. It's all about getting our comics out there as trick-or-treats. And so because of that, we offer deep discounted bundles. This way people are able to do this thing affordably and not, it's not $4 or $5 comics here. And Alterna comics are $1.50 a piece, but we have these things starting $25 for 25 comics. And then you can go all the way up to a bundle of 200 comics for $99. And people did that a lot last year. They must have had a lot of trick-or-treaters. I've never really had 200 trick-or-treaters, but some people were telling me they were going to do 400 comics this year, get 200 bundles because they had so many trick-or-treaters. It was wonderful last year to see all the pictures of the kids in the costumes with their comics. And a lot of them were telling people, the people who were giving them those comics, wow, this is my first comic book ever. And that's what's so
Wow.
important about this, and the thing is that it's great to not only get kids into comics and obviously, becoming readers and things like that, because comics are wonderful for children, especially when it comes to giving them that love of reading. But you never know, right? This could be the next greatest comic creator getting their first comic ever on Halloween. And it's because of the people that are taking part in this Alterna-ween campaign. You guys are making it possible.
Yeah, that's such an awesome concept. I love it. I have
It's-
myself
it's
been backing that. And I told my
Yeah.
wife, I said, I'm going to give out comics. She's like, well, what if the
Yeah, me
parents
too.
don't want them? I said, I'm going to ask. Why not? Right? I mean, they're all
Back-
ages.
I'm putting it here to back it because I haven't yet, and I feel shame.
Yeah. I'll be backing for 600. I only get one trick or treater, but he's getting 600 comics.
There you go. He's going to be happy.
Yeah. Now, Peter, I was just talking to friends of ours while you were trying to get on, and we were working things out. A buddy of mine, we want to go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood tomorrow night. I went to go see that with my wife last week, and it was great. It's the best movie I've seen. I got to tell you, it's probably the best movie I've seen since Inglourious Basterds. I mean, I think he's fantastic. I think Tarantino is I think he's just brilliant. But huge comics fan. He grew up a huge comic book fan. And I'm just wondering if there is that next even Quentin Tarantino out there. You know what I mean? And he gets his first comic and it comes from a neighbor who hands it to him. Mm-hmm. And I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I don't know how much I think we spend about $50 in candy anyway every Halloween. I wonder what the average suburban, family spends on Halloween candy to give away, even if it's $20. Why not do that for comics or something that they can keep forever? Something a kid or better yet, maybe the kid doesn't keep it, but better yet, maybe since it is that cool newsprint and it has that spirit of the old books. He could roll that bad boy up and put it in his back pocket, and he could swap that great new. There you go. Look at that.
There you go.
He could swap that great new comics mag with one of his other friends who got it from another house.
Yeah. Hey, Peter, open up that book. Show them how awesome your newsprint looks.
Yeah, so this is ICYMI. This is a reprint series, but this is all modern coloring. The art here is 100% by Christian Rossi, so he did everything in it. This is a reprint of Trespasser, Part 3 of 4.
Beautiful.
And the thing that's great about the newsprint, not only, does it look good, it smells good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes the comics so much more affordable. And as Billy was talking about rolling them up, we actually had a lot of people last year for Alterna-ween doing this, rolling them up. And then what fits in there, right? A king-size candy bar. So they were the most popular house on the block.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And as I said before, I said it a couple times this week, the greatest comic books ever produced were all produced on newsprint.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. In newsprint today, it looks gorgeous. The coloring, it's not the same techniques that they used to do. So, it's really something to look into, especially if you're an independent publisher or just getting into comics. And, Peter's products alone, show that. He's done the research. It's not like oh, well, this is just the cheapest thing to do. He's actually done the research to make sure that it's also a good quality.
Yep.
Yeah, and we've got the printing partnership program, too. So you can get comics done at a really affordable price, a minimum of $500, and it's 50 cents a piece for a 32-pager. Whether or not that's black and white or color, it doesn't even matter. And we got a lot of people using that.
Mm-hmm. So Peter, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Billy.
No, and I'm just saying that Peter, and the announcement time is not yet, but you might have had another publishing partner, don't you? That just might be on screen right now. But that's a conversation for another time, isn't it?
I didn't want to speak too soon, but it's all up to you whether or not you want to talk about that.
Well, you inspired me, and we have big plans. We're going to do a very special book. We'll throw it out here just for our family because we've become a family with our crowdfunding comics crew.
World premiere.
Centurions out there, and we've got something super special for the New York Comic Con. And it's something I was posting on Instagram and on YouTube, not on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter today of something I've been working on for the past couple of days. And this is going to be something so nostalgic and so magical. And I really can't wait to get into it. And I'm so happy to be partnering up with you, Peter, for this book. So we'll leave it at that. But there just might be a very special New York Comic Con 25th anniversary edition of She, since they all sold out. But a very affordable 25th anniversary special She edition. So
it's going to be fantastic, folks. Fantastic.
It's gonna be pretty awesome. If you guys are going to New York Comic Con, make sure to get that from Billy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's crazy. The newsprint stuff is nuts. I couldn't believe my own eyes when we got quotes back. It's totally a different world, and all I could think of is the possibilities. Which, if anything, too, the possibilities with newsprint and the fact that it is so affordable, In a couple of months, in November, we're actually coming out with an Alterna Giants series. So every single month, an Alterna Giant will be put out there. And it's going to be a $4.99 book, 80 pages or more. And what's going to happen is that, so for instance, this is eventually going to be an Alterna Giant. The Blood Realm series, it's a 3-issue series, 2 volumes. So volume 1, 3 issues will all be out in December. And then volume 2, all 3 issues will be out in January. They're going to get a new cover. It's going to be a nice thick book, and it's going to be affordable, $5. You can get that whole story. So it's something that, you know, it's almost like a no frills, easy, basic graphic novel. Mm-hmm. Nothing crazy. The paper stock is still newsprint. Still just like this. It's not going to be perfect bound. Some people have been wondering, will it be perfect bound, anything like that? No, it's still going to be stitched with the staples there, saddle stitched. But it's going to be something that enables us to get more comics out there to more people as well. Because a lot of the time I'm finding that, you know, for instance, this isn't out just yet. And I don't want to dive too deep into you know, distribution woes and whatnot. But copies will sell out of issue 1 or issue 2, and then they become next to impossible for a store to get in. Yeah. But with the Giants, they're able to get that book that they maybe heard about by the time issue 3 came out, and they go, oh man, we missed out and we can't get any more in now. And they go, well, here's the Giant. The Giants came out and we can get that in. And it's a $5 price point. So it's more in line with the industry, unfortunately, becoming the industry standard. But the thing is, these aren't 32 pages of comics. This is an 80-plus pager for the same price as a 32-pager. And you get that whole story arc. It's not just a reprint series with a bunch of scattered stories that have the same kind of character.
Oh, wow.
That's now I can ask you a question, if I may, Niall. That doing this book, the Giant book, and then doing even the Alterna-ween, can you afford to do this? I mean, you're giving way more bang for the buck than anyone's doing. Mm-hmm. And I know you said that the prices are more are less expensive than, say, doing on a 100-page or an 80-page glossy stock, blah 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 interiors. But I mean, can you make any money off of this yourself? I mean, because you are a businessman. Alterna is a major publishing company. Whether you planned on it or not, I'm sure you did. But, I mean, you are a big story. And I know you've been doing this for years, but you guys really exploded in 2018, 2019. Yeah. So you're all the stores you're into now and all the bookstores and things like that. But can you afford to keep this up?
Oh, yeah. if we couldn't, I wouldn't be doing it. I know some people think there's no way, it's a loss leader thing. They're always losing money. They're going to lose money for forever, and then they're going to be gone one day. If that was the case, we wouldn't be doing this. I mean, it would make no sense. Right. So this kind of thing, you know, and it's great because it enables us to put comics at an impulse buy price. Mm-hmm. And then it enables us to have these single issues be an economical line for people that go, hey, I just want something fun to read. I want something that's affordable, something I go in there and say, okay, it looks good. The price is right. I'm going to just get it. Mm-hmm. There's no, well, who's this publisher and who's this creator and, you know, what kind of variants are on this series and all that kind of nonsense that unfortunately has kind of deterred people from reading comic books. Yeah. This is all about, does it look good? That's it. That's the only question, because the price is absolutely not a question. And then we notice it shows we'll sell hundreds upon, I think at Terrificon we sold something like in total close to 600 comics at Terrificon.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So not only does it enable us to sell more comics to more people, but then those people also, instead of it being a $5, you know, per issue kind of thing, you're getting all these creators, all their work is getting out there and being read and being loved. And these people will follow those creators as well. So everyone will grow together, as opposed to this kind of mindset where, you know, only the biggest creators tend to get the most, you know, exposure, the followings, all that kind of stuff, that kind of importance that's, you know, it's well deserved because they've worked for it and they've worked hard. But it's a system that keeps catering to that. You know, we got to have this growth where the new creators can come along and they can build an audience and a readership. And having your comics at that price level enables that to occur. Where, I mean, we get tons of people all the time with our books that will sign up for the whole year subscription. And they'll go, there's a bunch of books here I never would have bought. I never would have bought these, if these were $4 or $5 each. And I'm reading them now, and I love them. I didn't know I would have loved this, crime noir drama series like Tinseltown, or I didn't know I would have loved this sci-fi adventure series like Eden. So there's all these kinds of things. Even Blood Realm. Blood Realm's a funny one because it's like a dark fantasy kind of Dungeons and Dragons vibe to it. Very epic dark fantasy. And a lot of people that love superhero comics were like, I don't know what to think about this one. It's kind of, it's more, like a Lord of the Rings story kind of illustrated thing going on here. But it's great because people go, well, it's good, it's affordable. Issue 1 was kind of, I don't know if I want to stick with it, but I'll give issue 2 a shot. And then they read issue 2 and they're hooked. They love it. And that's because of the fact that they're affordable. You don't have to have someone worry about going, well, I don't know if I got a good value for this. It was $5. It was $6. In some cases, we're seeing comics that are $10 for, an issue that's maybe 40 pages of unique new story, and then the rest of it's reprints.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to see that people will go, hey, the price doesn't matter anymore to me. It just matters if it looks good. And that's what we want. We want people to just look at the comic and go, it looks good. I want it.
What's also kind of cool is that you had Comic Artist Pro Secrets, if I may jump in, he dropped some cash on Alterna, and I think he made a $150. He pledged $150, I think.
Yeah, $150
to the campaign. Yeah, there you go. So, but you look at something like Uncle E, and what he's doing is that he just spent, and I saw the actual cover. He dropped a ton of money on the chromium cover. And this is an embossed chromium cover like it was back in the 90s. And I did a chromium cover. I did 2 of them, actually. And it costs a lot. But what you're doing here is something completely different because, again, not only are the greatest comics of all time were produced on newsprint, right? But also, and again, to take a step away from people that are putting a lot of money back into the company, like you are too, of course, obviously with the expansion and everything like that. But like EVS is spending all this money and making this high prestige format book. We're doing the same thing with Zombie Sama we did, and I plan to do it with She. But there's a cool little thing for the collectability market because everybody does see how much money these books cost, and they are, how much money the publishers are putting into the book. Like I said, like with Cyber Frog and stuff. But you're coming up with a book, and you're doing this more not as expensive. You're not throwing all that money into the paper, say, and the cover and all. But what's really cool is that the most highly collected comics of all time are done on newsprint and are done on on a thinner paper stock. But what's also cool for the collectors, Peter, is that these books are harder to keep in pristine condition in the day and age of CGC comics, of great comics. So someone could get that book, and if you get a 9.8, you know what I mean, of the Chair or something like that, you know what I mean? Or
it matters more. Absolutely.
That's huge, and someone will get that book. And we had a long discussion about how you back the books and how you may or may not be shipping them to me for our secret New York Comic Con project. But you can get, the way you pack these books and ship them too is that you're handing in a book that may not be something that someone like EVS is spending all this money to produce. You know what I mean? You're doing a book that's more affordable to the buyer, but it doesn't make it any less collectible just because of the fact that, whoa, you got to be careful with this book. So there's something for the guys that want to roll them up and put them in our back pockets. But then again, there's also for the collectors, the grading type comics that this is even more money, I think, of a book that is not so much like a Tiger Tank. You know what I mean? It's not something like this that we spent a lot of money on. You know what I mean? That, oh my God, you got to, you know what I mean? And so you're hitting both ends of it. And forgive me if I'm all over the place this evening, but from our conversation, Niall, from you and I talking or texting today and stuff like that, and all the stuff I've been doing, I'm a little crazy
Get
today.
fired
So-
up,
No,
man.
it's
We got
it's
good
it's,
things
yeah,
coming
it's
up.
something it's something to get fired up about. It's
Yeah.
something to get excited about.
Yeah,
You know,
you-
I still get excited about it, and I've been doing this now every day, day in and day out, 14 to 16 hours a day for over 2 years now, and I'm still fired up about it. And I don't think I'll ever stop being fired up about it.
Yeah.
What's really funny, you know, to touch upon what you said, and also to build upon that. So the condition is no longer really that much of a factor when it comes to grading comics when they're collectible and all that kind of stuff. Now, when comics were at the height of their collectability, let's say, the 90s boom, and everything said it's a collector's item, right?
Yeah.
What happens is everybody took pristine, excellent condition and care of this kind of stuff. You know, they put in the bags and boards, they made sure it was archival, acid-free, all that kind of stuff, and that's great. But the thing is, everybody did that. So condition was no longer an issue. They were all mint copies. So everybody's got a mint copy. If we all ran around with 1 million copies that were mint of like Action Comics #1, it wouldn't be worth as much.
Right.
You know, it would have possibly just kind of sentimental value, be sort of like Spawn #1, you know,
Yeah.
where, yeah, it's worth something still. But I don't know if it gets to the heights of what it's worth now.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that you get with affordable comics, all right, now think about it. Everybody right now who is a legend in the industry, like yourself, Billy.
Oh,
All right.
Because
All right. No.
'cause you're old, bro.
Great.
Yeah, I know,
Right?
bro.
And you've stood the
You're
test of
freaking
time.
old.
It's so difficult. Now, everyone like yourself that started off in the industry with these comics that were affordable, that were everywhere, you guys became this kind of, you know, iconic figure to people like me and other readers as well, who became creators because the comics were everywhere, because the comics were affordable. Now, if we're supposed to grow comics, if we're supposed to get creators to a point where they get value in their books and they can go, here's a $25, you know, great edition, an omnibus or whatever it is of my work.
Yep.
If you don't have a readership, if you don't have that following, if you could never build that because you've always been working against this current system, you can't have that value. It's harder. It's harder to build that value up. So
Yeah.
by getting the comics out there, by getting that readership to grow, by getting people in at $1.50 on the comics and making it not a case of, this comic, you know, or this comic, which one's expensive? Do I have dinner tonight? Whatever it is, you know, do I pay bills or do I buy my pull list? You know, we shouldn't have people trying to make those decisions. Comics is an industry that is blessed with economies of scale. So we should all be looking at how do we make more of these out there? How do we get more comics sold? How do we get them in more places? How do we increase the volume of these comics? And then we can ask and actually earn advertising revenue on these comics. And advertisers, they don't necessarily care if these all buy out. If there's 1 million copies being printed and they're getting into places, that's what they care about.
Right.
So all these kinds of companies that are, you know, worried about getting blood from a stone,
Yeah.
and the industry shrinks and shrinks and shrinks, how are we supposed to grow and grow and grow? Well, indie comics comes along, we're all growing. It's growing here.
Yep.
So we have to take the systems that we're using right now and incorporate that for the next wave of not only creators, but readers as well. And it's very, very, very important. This kind of thing it's investing in the tomorrow of this industry.
And you have a wonderful point you just made, and the Postman, Adam Post, will attest to this, and EVS, if he remembers too. When the Death of Superman, and you're talking about growing the industry. When the Death of Superman came out, my wife, it was 26 years ago or so. My wife, on her lunch break, because I was working at home in Queens, we weren't married yet. You know, she was working in the city. And on her lunch break, I'm like, you got to go buy this book, The Death of Superman. Now, I did not know there was 3.2 million or 3.5 million copies of this book, but I had to get it. So she went to a store in Manhattan, to a very well-known comic shop in Manhattan, and went there to buy the book. And she walks in, and she was this, cute 24-year-old professional woman. Walking in to buy a book for her boyfriend that wanted The Death of Superman. They wanted Superman, was it 123 or something like that? I don't remember what it was. Whatever the issue was. And then instead of, and so she wanted to buy the issue. She went on her lunch break, so she went about, maybe she got there at 12:15 or 12:10, because I'm like, you got to go there early. That book was already at $10 at this shop. And then the retailer the retailer said, well, if you're interested in this, you should look back here. And on the back, not on the spinner, not on the racks or anything like that, but behind the counter was all these other collectible books. Because if she's dropping $10 on this book for her boyfriend, well, then you should buy Batman this and that, all these other $10, $15 books. And she said, oh, it was Superman 75. And she said, and she walked out and she said, these idiots. She said, I walked around and I saw on that rack there was Superman number 70, or I think Action Comics, whatever it was. There was number 74,
75.
73. It was 75 was the book, but there was on the stand, it's still at $1.25, $1.50. There was 74, 73, 72, 71, 70. And she said, instead of him encouraging me to buy these comics that were still $1.25, he saw an opportunity to gouge someone. You know what I mean? And instead of her like, oh, yeah, maybe I will buy the books that build up to this story to create a new comics fan. And she came back, and then that night we had dinner. I came into the city, and she gave me the books because I wanted them. And she said, we can do this. She's like, we can do this. If this is what they're doing, they don't get it what the comic fans are at. Because I was a potential new customer coming in to buy these books. And instead of encouraging me to buy more comics that would lead up, for the story, they were trying to sell me something that was a speculative thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're doing now, what you're doing, Peter, and what EVS is doing, and what Post is doing, and what a lot of these other, like what Doug is doing, and Brian Polito's doing, is that you're bringing in new readers every day that people are tired of, and they just want a good, fun story. And you, beyond everyone else, is making them incredibly affordable.
Yes.
And
that's
everywhere.
That's been one of the best parts about it is because of the fact that they are affordable. And someone in the chat had asked something about, when is it too low that it deters people from buying it? I think that if you go to the levels of 25 cents, 50 cents, you start to get people kind of questioning what it is. But at the same time, though, if it's still a good story and it isn't just kind of a slop together whatever sort of thing, people are still going to like it. They're still going to read it. They're still going to buy it. So it's not like, because there are a couple really good free comic book day books that have been released over time, but there are also a lot of them that they get put out there and you're like, this isn't even worth, getting it for free. And the thing is, at that point in time, what occurs is that it's not anymore, I'm out of some money for it or whatever. It turns into, I'm out of time. I'm out of the time that I spent reading this thing. Yeah. And you can never, no matter what, you can always make more money. You can never make more time. So time becomes a more valuable commodity. It's the most valuable commodity we have, if anything. So with this, we want people to always go, you know what, the time I put into this book, reading it, it might not be, my most favorite comic of all time, but I really enjoyed it and I got a good value for it. We always want a reader to feel like I got a good value for this book. Mm-hmm. Because as soon as we get people going, oh, it really wasn't worth it. This was crap. What are they doing here? That's when it becomes an issue. And that's when you start to erode the trust of your readership. And they feel like they're getting taken for a ride. Especially then if they were to address that gripe with you and you kind of tell them to shove it. Which is, really not something you should do. Right. And that's kind of basic business knowledge. And practices, and honestly, not even business too, but just being a human being. So you always want to give people a good value. I always look at it first and foremost as, I want to buy this book, because if I feel like I don't want to buy this book, I'm not going to be able to sell this book to somebody else. I'm not going to be able to get excited about this book. It's really strange when you have some publishers that are like, yeah, I don't really like anything we put out, but I figure someone must. Like, that's a really strange way to do that, because if you're not passionate about the stories that you're putting out there, whether it's your own or someone else's, the readers aren't going to get excited and feel passionate for it either. They're going to look at that and go, well, if you don't care, why should I?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Now, Peter, I mean, you guys you're selling these affordable books. They look great and everything, but I mean, you don't just take anyone. I mean, you have a process. You really look thoroughly in who you're going to publish. Now, what I'd love to do is, and we have a lot of indie creators in our chat, a lot of people doing their own thing, and some of them may be thinking, hey, maybe I do want to have a publisher, someone to distribute my books. How does the process go about if they want to try to get distributed and published through Alterna Comics?
They can go to alternacomics.com. Our submissions are always open. I always recommend with us, any publisher at all, read the guidelines first. Now, if you go to a publisher's website and they don't have submission guidelines at all, let's say, you'll often find that people will then go to social media. They'll tweet at them. They'll send them a message. They'll bother them on Facebook, whatever it is. But the thing is that if a publisher doesn't even have submission guidelines up, why on earth do you want to submit to them anyway?
Right.
You shouldn't have to have this kind of like chasing them around thing just to submit your comic.
Yeah.
So not only, and this is the thing too, a lot of people go, well, I want to make sure my comic is right for Alterna. I go, well, you know what? You have to also make sure that Alterna is right for you. So if you don't know what we publish, if you don't like anything we publish, why would you want your book here? Yeah. Make sure that you like Alterna, not just because, you see we're around, or you like me because you see me on a video or whatever, but make sure that you've read a couple of the Alterna issues, you've taken a look at the site, you look at the books and you go, yeah, you know what? I think my book would fit along, right here. And if anything, if you can actually look at the books honestly that we have at Alterna and go, my book, I think it's actually even better. I think this would be the best book Alterna ever put out. Give us a shot and submit them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you are so open and so what's the word? Not just open, but
transparent. You're very transparent with.
Yeah, transparent, but also welcoming. You know what I mean, to other publishers. And again, you're everyone sees it. It's a business for you. If you can afford to do it, if it's a good fit, like you're saying, and it's so like you said, Niall, that he's honest. Well, maybe we're not the fit for you.
And that's the thing too, is that a rejection, a no is actually a yes. Okay. Yeah. Because you don't want me to not like your comic. You don't want me to just accept everybody. Right. And then all of a sudden it turns into, well, what the heck actually, does he think is going to succeed? What does he actually care about? What is he actually going to be backing here? Because I want to 100% back every single book that we publish and stand by them as good books. So if you look at Alterna and you go, I can't make heads or tails of any of this. It's all, here's some stuff that's really good. Here's some stuff that, there's a few years, they need before they're publisher ready to get out there and into retail, especially. What's going on? I can't make heads or tails of it. So if it's that kind of thing where you get a rejection from a publisher, especially when I reject anybody, it's never going to be one of these rejections that the door is closed forever. I never want to see your submissions again. It's never anything like that. It's always going to be either it's not a good fit for us, which basically means it might be a better fit at another publisher, which means you might have success more so at another publisher or even self-publishing, because right now is a great time also to self-publish. Or it's someone who maybe needs a couple of years, because the worst thing that can happen to you as a creator, if you're not ready and a publisher signs you on, it gets way harder from that point on. So if you're someone that, you look at it and because one of the first questions I always ask is, what's your production schedule like? How far along is the book and how many pages need to get done, and usually get done in a certain amount of time. Because if you're someone who, I do 3 or 4 pages a month, publishing is not for you. You're not ready yet to be on a publisher. Yep. Because we'll schedule out. I schedule out usually almost 2 years in advance. But let's say, you take 3 or 4 pages a month, and you've got a 4 or 5 issue series. You're going to need about 5 years, because I tell you right now, you're going to have a lot of personal life things that also come up that you can't predict. You think, okay, here's my strict schedule and I'm going to get everything done when I got to get it done. That's not going to happen. Life doesn't work that way. So you have to make sure you're building in all this other time. Right. You got to give yourself a buffer. So take that step back. Don't be patient with yourself. Don't rush yourself into going, well, I got to get a distribution deal, a publishing deal now. I got to do it now. You got to get your comic done now. You got to grow now. You got to learn now. But all the other stuff, take your time. Be patient with yourself.
Yeah, and you
That's
know the
great
funny thing
advice.
and it's amazing too is a publisher that's honest with creators, because creators are. I mean, we're all three of us are creators. Everyone watching here is a creator. Right now, but and we can be, as artists, as writers, as creative people, you can be fragile, and you also, and it's a natural instinct to want to kind of not coddle them, but be a little more sensitive to them.
Yeah.
And you're doing it, but I got to tell you another thing. I redrew every single page of She, the Way of the Warrior at least once. I mean, Adam posted on it. Adam saw, I think, some of the early pages of She, and he's like, maybe you want to work in that and stuff. And I took it back, and I did, because another thing, Peter, and I'm sure you agrees, and Niall, from when you put out your book, first impressions in publishing, in comics, are huge. Especially if you're a self-publisher and it's your own creator-owned book.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it could be a death knell.
It's a make or break, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. I always encourage, send me a complete submission. Send me something that you feel this is ready to go tomorrow.
Yeah.
I get a lot of this. I get people that send me sketches. I get people that send me pages that don't have lettering. I get people that send me pitches. Don't send me a pitch. A pitch is just an idea. An idea is not a story.
Right.
I need to know. You can have the greatest. We all have great ideas every day. Every second, every day, a lot of us have great ideas. But the thing is that can you turn that into a story, especially an interesting story, and something that isn't just, completely derivative, or something that, you can pace it out correctly, all of that. So I want to see, and I want to see pages in a row. A lot of people on submissions, they go, well, I really like this page, and this page I did a really great job, and I like the way the face turned out on this page, so I want to submit that. And then I look at 5 or 8 pages there, and I go, what is going on? I can't figure out how they tell a story. And then I write back, and I say, this seems like it's all out of sorts. And they go, oh, yeah, I picked some of my best pages from the book. I go, no, I want to see them all in a row, so I can read that story and follow it. And if at the end of that submission, I go, I want to read more.
Plug my
then
my computer in.
You're onto something.
Down there.
And Kevin Frere, thanks for the super chat. Kevin says, it was a pleasure meeting you guys at Terrificon. I showed some of my work to you both, and you were very encouraging. It means a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks. I remember Kevin.
Yep.
Yeah, me too.
Good to see you, buddy. How are you?
So I feel like, Peter, you just kind of, in a nice way, told me to stop sending you photos of stuff I write and draw on napkins. So you want something a little more formal then? Because I can take it. But,
that's another thing too. I've had people that say, okay, I don't like using the computer. I don't know how to send files on the internet. I don't like email. I don't like none of that stuff. Can I just mail all my originals to you guys and do all that? You have to. This is part of the job, people.
Yeah.
This is part of the job.
Yeah.
So, and first and foremost, on a submission, never send your originals. Ever, ever, ever. Ever, ever, ever. Most publishers will throw that stuff away, and that's your originals gone bye-bye. They don't care. A lot of them, they don't care, and they're not going to send it back to you. So you never want to do that. Follow their submission guidelines. If they want you to send something in, like mail it in. If they want you to send files in, send files in. Follow them to a T. Don't give them a reason to say you don't follow directions. It's going to be a nightmare to work with you. End of story. I don't care how talented you are.
Yeah.
But now let's get to this point. So now you've received what you need to receive. You got the whole package and you love it. What is the next step for that creator?
Well, the next step is me asking them again what their production schedule is like, how far ahead they are, what kind of promotional plans they have, coordinating, for this book, and also I want to coordinate with them too. I want to see, because a lot of the time too, people have a submission, and then they go, okay, well, we have to do all these other things to get the rest of the book done. I think it might take us 2 or 3 more years. Again, at that point, it really depends. Well, what's their production schedule like? What's their business plan like? Because that's the thing too. You have to, as a creator, understand every single book you do is a small business you're opening up. So you have to treat it as that. You need a business plan. You need a 5-year strategy. You need to go, I need to do this by this by this. And then if you don't have that, it becomes you're walking uphill both ways.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you've got your plan ahead of you. You want to make sure that when I ask things like how long does it take to get a page done, that you've got an answer for that. A lot of the times, and that's the way too to know that you're just not ready yet. And again, it has nothing to do with a knock on a creator or saying that they won't be ready eventually. You're just not ready yet. You still have some more time to work on stuff, to get acclimated to the flow of this kind of thing. And again, the worst thing you can do is dive right into it, not knowing, absolutely having no clue what you are getting into. And then you go, oh boy, I'm late with this, I'm late with that. This thing is piling up, that thing's piling up. Because you also want to go, I got a book to make, but I also have bills to pay. I also have rent to pay. I have this and that and whatever. So you have to work it in to your schedule.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's the arrangement, though, with Alterna Comics? As a public, do you have rights to their characters? How does that part work as well? Because that may be something that holds people back from maybe pursuing that.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at what Ethan had said in the
So
chat.
am I. I'm just sitting there. I'm trying to do comic AP caps. All these,
What? At least you're self-aware.
That made me laugh. I'm just praying my wife is not watching the stream right now because she's like, because she'll get on the phone. She'll get on the phone with Andrea, and then they'll just destroy us. So, because I'm like, oh God, I hope Debbie's not on. I hope she's watching, like, I don't know, The Notebook or something right now.
Oh boy. I'm sorry, Niall. I'm sorry. I really shouldn't have read the chat in that moment.
No,
can you
do
please
whatever you want, man. I'm reading the chat all the time. I have no clue what we've been talking about.
You're like, something about comics? I don't know what's going on.
I'm like, wait, you do stuff? There's got to be something legal involved. Let me Google it while you're talking.
Yeah, who is this guy? What's The Chair? I want to watch that movie.
Do it. Watch it. It's on Amazon Prime. It's on Vudu. It's on iTunes, Google Play, Tubi or Tubby, however they pronounce it, Tubi TV. Yeah.
How does one, and let's just have fun for a second. How does one get his wife and children who don't like horror films to watch a film like The Chair?
What's a horror film?
The horror.
Horror.
I've been with my wife for 30 years. I've known her for 30 years. And she's never gone. I took her to see Silence of the Lambs, and she loved it, but she was mortified by it. And she will watch it when it's on again, but she will never go see any horror films. So how do I get her?
Can I please interject with something?
Just lie, right?
My wife cries at horror movie previews on TV. She gets scared from the previews. It ain't right, people. No. It ain't right.
Funny, I used to be watching. One of my favorite things to watch was Nightmare on Elm Street when I was like 7 years old.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to say.
Yeah, I hate you. All right, for saying 7 years old. I saw it in high school. Adam Poe said, made a point though, Peter, that we kind of missed this or glossed over, that Alterna does not take the rights to creators' characters at all. You have the publishing rights. So if you might want to explain that to them, because a lot of potential publishers, that again, it is so daunting. You got to see my house downstairs right now, that we still have books, and we're shipping out books every day for Zombie Samba. But when you have 1,500 backers, it gets overwhelming, and that's a big commitment. And a lot of people don't have that. Maybe someone just wants to write and draw their comics and publish and get the art and get it to you. To get to that, can you explain to them when a creator does come to you with an intellectual property, and what your deal is with them, what your arrangement is with them?
Yeah, so they keep 100% of their rights. The only thing we want is publishing and distribution. So if they make stickers, shirts, toys, get a movie deal. Like, for instance, we've got Trespasser, which was the book above that I was showing before. Trespasser got optioned for a film by the co-writer of the Wonder Woman screenplay. That movie, let's say it goes on to make whatever. We don't see any of that. And everyone goes, well, how does Alterna make money off of stuff like that then, if your properties, let's say every single thing goes to a movie or a show? I print more books. I'm a publisher. Mm-hmm. So that's the strange thing, is you just print more books, and I don't understand the why do you have to have ownership into every facet of all the IPs and everything else? It doesn't make any sense. And the thing is I want creators to go, you know what? I have a big stake in this, and it's risk and reward, and there's a big reward here, and I always get to have my IP. Some publishers, they want 50-50. Some publishers, it's a different kind of split. Some of them will give you 100% of certain things, not 100% of other things. Alterna, it's 100% of everything. All we take is the distribution and the publishing rights. So anything else you want to do with it, you are free to do it. You're free to merchandise however you want, free to make all those deals however you want. If you just want to make T-shirts and you want to sell them, keep all that money. We don't want a cent from it.
Now, do you ever go into any other agreements with the creators you publish, like any merch stuff, or you not at all?
No, not at all. The only thing that we do at all, and it's not really even an agreement, it's more just me saying, hey, would you like to get some of your merch on the Alterna Access store? Mighty Mascots, Keith Gleason's property. He's got stickers and enamel pins. And with that, he's selling them on our store. And all I tell him is, look, I just want to get back whatever we're spending on shipping. And I think something like 30 cents per thing, for like associated fees that are, when the item sells. Other than that, I don't want any of it. So that's all his. He gets that stuff. So, and the same thing goes for any creator. And a lot of the creators, they have their own web stores. They have things like that where they sell a lot of their merch. And it's great. It's to me, what's the point of kind of, these guys, they work so hard on these projects, on these properties, on these characters, on these stories. What's the point of going in there and saying, well, you're going to do that T-shirt, I want a couple of dollars from that. You're going to do that pin and that sticker, I want a couple of dollars from that.
Yeah.
It's there's no point to it. I just want to sell the books. I want to get the books out there. I want to make sure that that's what I focus on too, because as soon as I start focusing on the other things, it slowly becomes, well, you know what, this isn't really a publishing company anymore. What if T-shirts start taking off? Am I going to start focusing more on T-shirt sales? I want to keep focused on the comics.
Yeah. So Kevin Frere asks, he says, hey, Crowdfunding Comics, and this is a good question for you as well, Peter. When you do a crowdfunding campaign, is it necessary to get your work copyrighted or any other legal stuff that's taken care of beforehand?
It really depends. It really depends on how you're going to market and what kind of property you think you've got. It's not really that expensive to get something copyrighted, but in some ways you've got pretty basic copyright protections there. You can always register trademarks and do things like that, but again, at the same time, there's still various protections if you don't officially register these things. But it all completely is up to what you want to do with it, how you want to take it. If you're someone who you're like, wow, okay, I'm going to get toys made, I'm going to get a movie done eventually, I think it's going to go, the sky's the limit on this thing, then it never hurts to take the proper precautions with your stuff.
Now, I can't pronounce his name probably. Comic Artist Pro Secrets says, soak these dopes, Peter. Take 90%.
Yeah, that's the other thing is that profit split. So we let creators keep 100% of their IP rights, right? Profit split wise on the comics, we recuperate obviously because we pay for shipping on the single issues and things like that. So we recuperate 20 to 80% split. So the creators get an 80% profit split, and we get 20% of that profit split. So they still make 80% on the profit of the books. And that's single issues, graphic novels, digital sales, whatever it is. It's 80-20 across the board. And it's for everybody too, because this way it's understood. And this person's not getting this person's not getting that. Everyone's getting an 80-20 split.
Now, Adam Post asks, how does Peter structure a project that gets crowdfunded by the creator and then published to comic stores by Alterna? Do they coordinate that? Yeah, so this is something too that I'm giving a lot of thought to. Going forward, we've got a couple books that we've got deals signed with or in the process of signing where they've had crowdfunders or they've had a book out as a graphic novel, either relatively new or out for a couple of years. Well, what they're going to do with that is we're going to get new covers and split them up into single issues.
So there's always these logical jumping off points of a story arc, and you can, whether it's a chapter or whatever it is, and you divide it up and get new covers on there with single issues. So this way they've got the graphic novel that they've put out, which is great because it's kind of almost like a crowdfunding exclusive at that point. And then we'll do the mainstream, get the comic issues out there release. And then if it does well, we do the Giants, or we could do another graphic novel release or an omnibus or whatever it is down the line, even if we have to do another kind of crowdfunder for that or anything. So there's a lot of ways to incorporate that strategy. I think a lot of the business, especially because of the fact that comic distribution is getting so all over the place lately, I think a lot of it is going to become like that, where people make a graphic novel, you crowdfund the graphic novel, and then you start splitting it up, and you almost do a release schedule that's reverse of what we're used to. And if anything, it kind of makes sense, because think about what in the book trade, the hardcovers get released first, and then the trade paperback gets wider distribution. Or even in movies, you get that big release on the big screen. But then you get an even larger wide release later on through DVD, streaming, all that kind of stuff.
Now, so I'm looking at this that Razmaz mentioned something, and then Diamond flubs it up for everybody. And now I know that you're expanding, I know that, and we have to get into the whole thing with Alterna distribution, but how is Diamond, there's going to several parts. How is Diamond to you because now we had a big meeting in San Diego with Diamond, and that now in 2020 we're going forward with the Crusade books again. And so we're kind of like, okay, this sounds kind of fun and stuff, and kind of cool, but how are they to you as an independent publisher? And then B, would you recommend to partner with your new budding potential partners to maybe do a crowdfunded book first to launch it before you go into the mainstream and into your other distribution channels?
Yeah, I would recommend doing that. I would recommend at this point in time, like if I just started today right now, I honestly don't know if I would want to get into Diamond. And that's a pretty big thing right now. And the thing is that it's no knock necessarily on the comic shops or anyone else even that's using Diamond. The only reason we're going to continue even to use Diamond is because comic shops are still going to use Diamond.
Yeah.
There's no reason other than that. There's a lot of different things where I think Diamond has their kind of spot carved out and what they want to do and who they want to support in terms of publishers and the growth and all that kind of stuff for those publishers. But I'm telling you right now, I'm not too pleased. There's a whole lot of things going on. I put out a video today on the channel earlier. I went into detail about it. There's a lot of things going on. I'm not happy about. I'll just say one of them right now is the fact that I was pretty much told we're not going to get we're not going to have our own dedicated brand manager. We're just not.
Really?
And it's been almost a year now. We've had an interim brand manager who it's kind of like, just someone you send your solicits to. But anything else that's going on, you just shrug and go, oh, well, too bad. And the longest time ever that we had between brand managers was like maybe a month in the past. And then today I was told there's no plans to hire anybody. This is the way it is. And we've had some big problems the past couple of months with them, with a lot of different things. And I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of because what that tells me is two things. It tells me that either Diamond doesn't necessarily care about, they look at us, well, we're so small, who cares about you guys? Yeah. Or they go, you know what? And this is what I actually think it is. Mm-hmm. The industry is hurting right now. Okay. We all know it's been down close to 20% over the past 2 to 3 years. We all know DC has cut like 15% of their output. We all know that there's publishers that are hurting. There's stores that are closing. All of that trickles down to distribution. Distribution now it's not just, the industry went down 20% or whatever it is. That's also Diamond's revenue has gone down 20% in terms of what they're doing. Yeah. Compared to what they were doing before. So their operation costs, you have to change all that to survive. So of course they're going to have someone do the job of 3 or 4 other people And it trickles down, and that's a death spiral right there, because now you're going to get people that are completely taxed and completely losing their minds trying to get things done.
Yeah.
And they're spent. Everyone I talk to at Diamond seems like they're just emotionally just drained, and they are just exhausted.
Yeah.
And they're at their wits' end. That is not good.
I saw the same thing, and I was talking to a retailer today on through Facebook, and I could post what he was saying. He was asking about our little announcement for our New York Comic-Con book. And, why aren't you putting this through Diamond? Well, I would have had it done it, 4 or 5 months ago to put it through Diamond. But I said that even the distributors, though, and the retailers are being strong-armed by the big two because they're so desperate. And then, I mean, how many variant covers they're going to have for the launch of their next book? And if you look at Captain Marvel, #1 was huge with coinciding with the film. But retailer friends of mine are telling me that they have stacks of 100 books of the first issue still on their stand, and these guys have to put that money out. And then after they get through through Marvel, through DC, and I'm talking about comic shops in the U.S. and the U.K. too. They have to get through, DC, Marvel, Image, Dark Horse, IDW, maybe Dynamite is in there now. By the time they get to say Alterna, and your Alterna Comics, instead you should be on page 10 of the previous catalog, which you would have been 20 years ago, Now you're on page 320.
They're too big. They're spread too thin.
Yeah.
Right. And the retailers never get a chance to do it. And that's what's so great, because, again, I love this idea of this boutique publishing. But you know what? I got a couple of friends. I have one friend who has a boutique, and they make a great living owning this boutique shop that they have. And you could be a boutique publisher, and you could be a nice medium-sized boutique publisher and employ people, and you can make a really, really great, terrific, streamlined, effective, efficient living and make a lot of money, because you don't have to sell 100,000 copies of a book for you to pull a profit on it, like some of these big two are doing and stuff.
Oh, yeah. And with crowdfunding, crowdfunding alone, if you do it right, you don't need to have any of that either. You're your own boutique, and having publishers is great, and what Peter's doing is, I think, completely awesome. And you're only going to go up from there, Peter. But it's just that whole mentality of it's more like you're fan focused. You truly are. It's like, let's give a good product at a fair price. Nothing. Exactly.
Without them, we have nothing. We're just wasting trees and ink.
Right? Yeah, exactly. You're wasting trees, you're wasting ink, time, but you're giving them what they want at a fair price, so they're consuming, and you're going to keep growing. And then you got, people that are starting out with the crowdfunding. You're bringing it straight to your fan base. You are literally building your fan base. Like, these people are becoming your friends. And, that's what the whole community is right now that we have. It's just a bunch of creators and fans, and everyone's melding into this great pot of stuff, Yeah.
Yeah, there's no more of this everything is at arm's length. You can't talk to anybody directly. There's none of that anymore. You can reach out, and some creators like myself, I love that. And then some creators, they don't love it so much. But the thing is, it is what you make of it. It's what you make of it. I treat every interaction on social media or on, when I do the live shows, I treat that like I'm at a convention, and like I'm meeting someone, I'm on the other side of the table or whatever it is, or sometimes I'm in the front of the table. I love doing that and getting to talk to people. Yeah. And, you treat it like that, and you realize there's another person at the other end, and that if they complain to you about, like sometimes we get a complaint about, it's rare about the books, but it'll be something else about, I wish the website had this, or I wish you guys could do that, or I wish you had more superhero comics, whatever it is. And the thing is that's just a customer saying, hey, I really like what you guys are doing, and I'd like it even more if you had this. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean anything more than that. And if someone comes up to us and says, and we've had this too, it's rare, but we've had this too, where I've had people, they read a book or they review it on YouTube or whatever, and they hate it. They don't like it at all, right? It's crap. They hate it. They say all these bad things. Yeah. And so I go in the comments and I go, hey, thanks for reading. Thanks for giving us your time and the feedback. And I hope you give us another shot. We got so many other books I think you'll enjoy. And that person will then turn around and go, well, what do you have? What do you have? I kind of like this type of genre, sci-fi, whatever it is, let's say. And I said, okay, so we got Exilium, we've got Eden, we've got Unit 44, we've got Trespasser. Those all have sci-fi overtones. I think you should try one of those out. You probably like it. And that's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Customer service, and Jimmy Palmiotti and I are having this conversation that if Jimmy is so in tune to his backers, and for Painkiller Jane, the last campaign he did, he had a lot of backers. I think he had 1,300 backers or so, or something like that. Every single one of his backers, if someone had changed a pledge level or reduced their pledge level, he would contact them and say, is there something we did wrong? Was there something that we did that was misinformed? Did we throw out any misinformation? Why did you change your pledge? And the people are like, well, I got to tell you, blah, blah, you know what I mean? And he would engage them personally, and then they would maybe, and most times they would, regale their pledge or even up it again. You know what I mean? And again, and it reminds me of you, of that customer service, and you're at that stage now. And I don't know how you do it, Peter, being a creator yourself and being a publisher and doing all this stuff, that you do have the time to have this one-on-one interaction with your readers. You know what I mean? With your backers, which are the people that change your life. But it proves over tenfold. It really does. It's wonderful, and it's a rarity. It really is. You and Jimmy, I'm like, wow, I'm just blown away by it.
Yeah, you got to just. I always look at it and I go, there's a lot of things that I love that other people don't, and there's a lot of things that I don't really love, and a lot of people do, and so our tastes are all different. And then when you get into the realm of comic books, which it's let's face it, it's art. It's art on some level. It's art, So it's going to affect everyone in a different way. To say that everyone should read this book and everyone should have the same experience with this book is to completely negate the fact that art is subjective, and it's 100% based on your experiences in life. So you can get someone that reads a book like The Chair, and it's their favorite thing ever. It hits every note for them. And you can get someone else that reads that and thinks it's complete crap and doesn't like it at all.
And that's okay.
That's okay. That's the beauty, though, of it. That's the beauty of it. That's humanity. That's what it's all about. That's what makes art so beautiful and so great. It's that it all means something different to all of us. Mm-hmm. Why would we want to take that away?
Right. Well said.
Exactly. Sorry,
well played.
I was sharing the post a little bit now that we're an hour two.
I know. Hey, Niall, do you think we could maybe show? We have our crowdfunding call-outs.
Yes.
Peter, I know you work. I mean, like I said, we've been talking all day. I don't know how you sleep. Could we maybe share one of our crowdfunding call-outs?
Yeah, let's get into it. So we'll get into our first crowdfunding call-out tonight, and this is for Chained Coffin, a Lovecraftian noir comic book. This is brought to us by Carlos Montenegro. He's from Guatemala. He's been emailing us. It's a great story. He only has 10 days left. He does have a pretty aggressive goal of 15,000, and he only has 4 backers. So, take the time. Check out this book. The art is an interesting style. He's got his own stylization. I think it's a pretty cool book, and that's why we got it on here. So, guys, check it out. He doesn't have a video up for us to show anything. He does have a video just kind of showing a next level, another feature to the campaign. But, I mean, I love the colors that they have on here. I enjoy it. It's kind of an anime style piece here.
It's a beautiful book. I mean, the art is gorgeous. But that's a whole thing too. Is that EVS is talking about build up your social media. This is a full-time job, right, Peter? When the shipping department is working.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so please.
No, I was about to say exactly what you were going to say with the whole when one department's working and others shuts down. You know what I mean? So if you're shipping out, the production, everything else is shut down. If you're working on a book, everything else is shut down. If you're doing the social media and the promotion, every other department is shut down. You treat it like an entrepreneur, like it's a small business.
Yeah. And it's wonderful because I got to tell you, this conversation we are having right now, I had with Jeff Smith and Terry Moore. 25 years ago at San Diego. The same exact with Robin Moore, with Vijaya, Jeff's wife, and with Debbie. We all sat down. We all went to dinner, I don't know, Saturday night or something like that to get a break from the craziness of Comic-Con back then. And that was the same conversation we had. But we were all like, but we're doing it, and you can do it. There's no but if you don't have the time to do it, that's why the Alterna, thank you, is that Peter is this alternative that can be the publisher that doesn't want anything but to publish your books, and you maintain your rights, and you retain your rights. And it's you have a gold mine in a man like this. That's why we call him Saint Peter.
Yes.
Behind your back.
Saint Peter.
People, yeah.
Saint Peter of comics book.
Yes.
The worst thing I ever did was say that I don't like being called St. Peter, because now everybody wants to call me St. Peter.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, absolutely. You should have said, I hate being called Rex or Flash, like a cool nickname.
Like
Brad Hunter, something like that.
Don't
I hate
call me daughter.
So I think now that we're kind of like the top, we're right here into hour 2. I mean, so this new venture popped up. I was scrolling today, and I saw it, and I replied. I said, "This is going to be some interesting material for the show, St. Peter."
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into it. Let's get into Alterna distribution.
Yes.
In frozen yogurt.
Yes.
A
So
bold
Alterna distribution.
move, my friend.
If you go to alternadistribution.com, you will see something interesting. It says Alterna distribution coming soon. What the heck is that about? So Alterna distribution, for those that may not have heard me talk about this board, this is something I've been saying for about 5 or 6 months now. Alterna distribution has already began technically. We've already been doing what I want to end up doing on a larger scale with more books from other people. We already distribute, sell comics direct to readers and retailers. We have about 50 to 60 retailers that every couple of months they order books. About 12 to 14 religiously every month get everything we do, and they get a boatload of it. And then we get a bunch of others, like maybe 10 to 12, they do reorders. So they'll still pre-order through Diamond, and then when they sell out from the stuff that they pre-ordered, they reorder, and they get it from us directly. Because Diamond is not, they haven't been good with reorders at all. We've lost upwards of 10,000 reorders from them in the past 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. And the thing is, you know what? A lot of those customers found us direct, and they'll order through us direct. So it doesn't upset me so much with us losing sales as it does with the comic shops losing sales.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, I really hope it's just us. I hope it's just us. But the thing is that it's probably not just us. It's probably many publishers that this is happening to, which means that a lot of retailers out there are losing a lot of sales, leaving money on the table in this industry. It's so frustrating. So Alterna distribution is all about filling those gaps. It's about saying, you know what? Look at what's going on right now. Crowdfunding is booming. Indie comics are booming, but they all have no place to go afterwards. No place to go. You can sell them direct, but to get into stores, you have to work out individual deals constantly, and it's the type of situation where if you're a store, I don't blame you if you don't want to deal with 400 or 500 individual people every single time.
Yeah.
So you want still to get that distribution system where you can go, well, you know what? I know these people, they'll ship them right, they'll do right by us, and I can order everything in one quick way. So Alterna distribution is going to be all about that. There's going to be no gatekeeping involved. The only 2 requirements are these. Okay, 2 requirements. You have the book ready to go. I don't want to pre-order. I don't want to have pre-orders and nothing like that. So if you've got a crowdfunder and you've got things already made, or you've got a print-on-demand book, or you want to take advantage of the Alterna printing partnership program and get your books made there, that's a possibility to get those through Alterna distribution. So I want the books made in hand, because I'm finding release dates, it doesn't matter as much anymore.
Sure.
Between crowdfunders, between the fact that how many major main event books have been delayed.
Oh,
I don't even want to say doomsday clock at this point, because that's become the joke.
Yeah.
They just don't matter. You can promote all you want. You know, my book is coming out whatever Wednesday in September or whatever. Is it? Is it though? So it doesn't matter. What matters is the book there, and can the store get it when they need it? Because the other situation that I've noticed with Alterna, a lot of our books, that first wave of newsprint, was all based on, for the most part, graphic novels that we had made years ago. And now we broke them up into single issue format. And they were never really on single issues before. The Chair is one of them. The Chair originally published in 2008. So it never had mainstream distribution as a single issue. In single issues, it found, you want to hear a stat? It found 15 times the audience as opposed to graphic novel sales through distribution.
Wow. And everyone's talking that graphic novels are what driving the stores now, and it's not true.
Yeah,
no.
It's generally graphic novels are generally 8 to 10% of their single issue counterparts. Mm-hmm. That's the market there.
But people do want affordable books, though.
Yeah,
you know,
they do.
To try something instead of spending $15, $20 for a book.
Yeah, and instead of also playing this game where we wait for the trade.
Right.
And sometimes the trade never comes because the trade was supposed to be made due to the fact that the single issues did well. So if the single issues never really do well, the trade never gets made.
Yeah, correct.
Yep.
So you can't keep playing the trade waiting game.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So we need these comics to be affordable so that even if you want to buy that trade later on and it's special and it's got all these other extras to it, it's better paper stock, whatever it is, whatever's going on, the single issues, if they're affordable, you'll then look at this special edition item as something unique and something important, as opposed to it just being kind of like a way to save money on a story, which is all trades have turned into at this point. They used to be something that carried a lot of weight and meaning. Mm-hmm. You know, a book got into a trade format because it's a perennial, seller.
Yes.
It's evergreen.
Yes.
It's a story that should be around for forever.
Right.
Yes.
Now it's like it's 6 issues. It's a trade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
I have to excuse myself for 1 second. My wife is texting me. I'll be right down. I'm sorry. Give me a minute. All right. So carry on with yourselves.
I think we will.
Now, Peter, you talk about doing these trade paperbacks and book like that. Have you actually ever have you guys published those as well?
Yes. The first 10 years of Alterna, we just did graphic novels and trades, and those not on newsprint. Those are on standard premium paper stocks, a nice cover. We still do them. The only difference is they're usually a 6x9 size, and that's kind of just because 6x9 tends to be a better size for the book industry. And we had a lot of success with that and early on, so we kind of figured, we'll just leave it at that size, because the worst thing that can happen is that you get your books and you're used to getting these 6x9 Alterna trades, and now we've decided, now they're going to be comic size, and now they look hideous on your shelf.
Yeah.
So we tried the first year doing them sort of traditional comic size, and it didn't feel right. It was really difficult getting them into bookstores. We changed it to 6x9. We had a lot easier of a time getting into bookstores. But then around 2015, and that's the funny part, everybody thought we were crazy to do graphic novels. To just do graphic novels, that's nuts. But then at 2015, 2014, around there, I'm noticing that graphic novel sales are starting to plateau, and if anything, die down. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at that and I'm going, we got to get affordable single issues out there. I don't want to get $4 or $5 single issues out there, because as soon as you stand toe to toe with the price point of something that someone's already familiar with, they go, well, I might as well just get the one that I know about. What's the point of spending the same amount of money on something I have no idea about? So you have to give a reason to lower that deterrent. I just want it to be whether you like the book or not. But so we still do graphic novels and trades, but I'm noticing the market's getting more and more flooded. And the thing with graphic novels, too, everyone says, well, there's libraries, there's bookstores, there's this and that and whatever. They only have so much space. They only have so much of a budget. So bookstores, it's not a bookstore and the whole bookstore is dedicated to graphic novels. If anything, they still don't know what to do with them for the most part. So they're going to look at that and they go, okay, everybody and their best friend has a graphic novel out. I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what this is about. You go to the average bookstore and you ask them, let's say if they have Alterna, let's say they go to Barnes & Noble or something like that. You're going to be lucky if that person not only has read a graphic novel, but you're going to be lucky if they even know what the heck Alterna Comics is.
Yeah.
So they're going to go, I guess. And then they look it up in the system. And if it's sold out, what we've been noticing in the book industry is this. If it's sold out, they have to special order the item.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they have to special order the item, you might as well just get it from where? From Amazon. So that's what happens, is that people then stop asking the bookstore, special order this in for me. They instead go right to Amazon. And that's what happens every single time we've noticed. Like, I think 90% of our book distribution graphic novel sales come through Amazon. So it becomes this kind of tug of war of like, you don't want to necessarily crap on one retailer compared to the other, but at the same time, it's kind of foolish to keep on saying, okay, go here, go here, go here. But the customer goes there and then they can't find the book, they get frustrated. And then they go to the place that you kind of didn't really necessarily want them to go anyway. Mm-hmm. So I'd rather just have everybody keep it plain and simple, nice and easy. Go to where you want to go. If you want to order direct from us, that's always appreciated. That's great. I think that's the best option you can possibly do if you can't get a book at your local comic shop. But the thing is also, when it comes to this alternative distribution stuff, I was going to mention the second factor of it, because it's a nice, easy 1-2 system. The second factor is that you agree to the terms of the distribution. And those terms are very easy. Mm-hmm. It's a consignment or you get paid up front. So what happens is that, let's say it's Billy's book. And I think Billy's book is going to do great. I think we're going to sell out of it. So I'm like, okay, Billy, I want to test out with 200 copies right off the bat. Do you want, and we're going to give a 40% discount to retailers, which is kind of what they're used to. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that we're going to go above and beyond, because if they order $100 or more, they're going to get free shipping. So they get $100 or more of an order. They don't pay for that shipping, whereas with Diamond, they do. There is no such thing as free shipping, no matter how many books they order.
Yeah.
So I order 200 of Billy's book, and I say, okay, Billy, I'm gonna pay you either 40%. You're gonna get 40% of after the sale of that discount to the retailer, or we do a consignment and you earn 60%. So either we wait and see, and I let you know, okay, because if it's gonna sell out, I'm gonna need more, and I think it's gonna sell out. So you'll make more if we just go, okay, let's wait a bit, and it's probably only gonna, honestly, not even a month, I would say, for that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So you would make more in the long run. So you'd make more money on that. But those are the only two things. Everything else, we're driving ourselves nuts with this whole thing of, the distributor acts as kind of like a gatekeeper saying, well, is this good enough? Is this not good enough? Will it sell? Will it not sell? That's not up to you to decide, distributor. Mm-hmm. That's up to the market to decide.
Yeah.
Put that comic on your site. So if you go to alternaaccess.com, you can kind of see how we already do it. We've got things sorted out. You can sort by genre, you can sort by title, you can sort by all kinds of things on there. So on alternative distribution, you can sort by publisher. You're going to be able to sort by genre. So you get people on there going, I don't know any of these titles, but I like horror. Let's see what they got.
Yeah.
And then they go, boom, okay, here's all the horror books. And then the other thing we're going to have on there is something that is it's so sad. This shouldn't be revolutionary, but it kind of is. So when a store places an order on alternadistribution.com, when we get that up and running, mm-hmm. what happens is I get to see what they order. So let's say they ordered 10 copies of She, they ordered 5 copies of an Alterna book, they ordered 7 copies of someone else's book, they ordered 6 copies of Niall's book. I will put on the website with the stores that are ordering and what they've ordered. So this way, as a reader, you'll be able to say, oh, that store carries these books. And if they don't, they're sold out.
That's great.
I
love that idea.
Yeah.
Because
and
you
as a
don't know.
Creator,
You
can
don't
then
know.
say, yes, these stores definitely carry it. They've ordered it.
Will you send out a tweet about that saying, here's our weekly status?
Oh, yeah. You read my mind.
Right,
like
of what stores have what?
Newsletter, tweet, all that stuff.
Yep.
Oh,
that's cool. A great idea, man. And you send that out every, like I said, every couple of days or every Tuesday before new comic day or something. And these are the stores carrying these titles. That's a great, and you're giving the stores advertising too. So
exactly.
The retailers,
so they'll have their store name and their address on there. Mm-hmm. So if you're a reader and you don't necessarily know, it takes the guesswork out of it. So you can just go to that store, and it shows, okay, this is what they're getting in. Mm-hmm. From this place, and we can go get it here. Now, the other thing that we're going to do as we move on and I see how this works between, what's going on, because this is going to be open to both readers and retailers. So if you're a reader and you are, out of luck with having a comic shop, and you're like, I got to order these direct. So we're going to have a nice affordable shipping option here. We've got that on the Alterna Access site right now. It's $5 shipping. It's flat too. So whatever you order, $5. On the Alterna Access site, if you order $25 or more, you get free shipping. But on Alterna Distribution, it'll be different. There's always going to be a shipping charge associated with it because it's distribution. It's a different margins and things like that. Yeah. So the thing that's going to be nice, though, is that if you have a store and you let them know about this Alterna Distribution, tell them, hey, I want to get my books and pick them up here. Is that okay? And they'll say, yeah, sure. And you know why they'll say, yeah, sure? You're going to get free shipping on that order, and that store is going to earn 30% on that sale. Just for saying, come and pick up your books here. And we're going to give 30% of that sale and send it over as a PayPal to that store and get in touch with them and all that stuff. So it's nice and easy. These are all the kinds of things that I've been wanting to see incorporated at Diamond to make things simple for people, doing a ship to store feature, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to grow that. We're going to eventually see, okay, how are people ordering? Do they want to order like this? Do they want to pick it up at their local shop? And the thing that's great too is that you get something like this set up. Let's say we get 100 books on there and just as many creators. Now everybody's saying, go to Alterna Distribution, get these stores to get these books in there. This is something that you guys have to get in. You can create this groundswell of attention that gets finally directed into one spot, and the store goes, boy, oh boy, people really like this, huh? I got to get this book in. Whereas right now, it's sort of just noise, and it's not quantifiable. You see, for the life of me, and I mentioned this in the stream earlier today, I don't understand this one big thing here with distribution right now. Crowdfunding is booming. Crowdfunding is taken off everywhere. The average crowdfunded comic that succeeds is earning $5,000 or more on their goal. That already, $5,000, that you are earning more than about 90% of the indie comics being distributed that month.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't understand why there's not somebody at Diamond looking at every crowdfunding site, looking at all those campaigns and sending a message out saying, you got a great campaign, comic looks great, we'd love to talk to you about getting distribution with us.
To actually reach out to these budding publishers, right?
Yeah.
And not,
Why is that not happening?
Yep.
So, but what's really cool with what you're doing, though, I mean, you have a printing partnership. You have this. If say my book is done, right? I could literally go through you, get my printing done. I could also have you distribute my books. I mean, you could almost be like my fulfillment center
you can be
another token.
We could be one hub. We could be one main hub. And it wouldn't have, if you go through that, obviously, if you want to go through Alterna and have us publish, there's other things that come with that, and there's other perks that come with that. And also at that level, of course, I'm looking at it saying, okay, is this a good fit for Alterna? But distribution-wise, I'm not going to look at that and go, is this a good fit for Alterna distribution? No, you've got a book, it's done, it's ready to go. Let's talk. That's it. That's all it takes.
Right.
Yeah, because you're not slapping Alterna's name on it. You are just helping distribute, carbon publishing stuff or something like that, So that's great. But there's other perks to it. Like, well, I want to get it printed, so I'm going to talk to you about getting the book printed, and then distributing it to shops and stuff. And what's cool about the mailing thing you're doing, which I think is great, is not only, are people out there purchasing, but other creators will know, like, oh wow, this comic store, because you can even blast, like if a new comic store starts selling your stuff, I'm sure you'll have a newsletter out, hey, this, welcome to the family, you're going to be selling or purchasing through Alterna, and then we could be like, oh, hey, yeah, now we can, as creators, maybe contact these people of, hey, Alterna's distributing my book, I'd like it to carry, and stuff like that. So what you're onto, man, is exciting.
Yeah, and the great part too, if you go through that printing partnership program, the minimum's 500. So you don't have to sit there and go, man, how am I going to get my costs down low enough to sell this book for $2 or $3 with distribution involved? You don't have to worry about that. Your costs are going to be, close to nothing. So you can still sell that book at a pretty affordable rate and have a distribution system involved and give that discount to retailers and still make money on your book. And then you have all these other copies that you're going to get sent to you that you can sell at shows. You can sell direct. You can do autographed copies. You can have as a part of a crowdfunder. So there's all kinds of ways. This is just a facet, one more thing to get your book out there into stores. Once it's done, you have somewhere for this book to go, as opposed to it just being a part of, whatever it is that you can push and how well you can push it. Now you're part of something larger. Because, let's say we get someone like a Billy Tucci who brings in a bunch of people, right? Mm-hmm. So now not only does Billy bring in a bunch of people, we got someone else who's bringing in their audience and a bunch of people. Yeah. And they're going to look at that distribution site and they're going to go, man, I like this one. I like that. I never heard of this guy. Oh, who's Niall? I gotta check out Niall Scott's book. Mm-hmm. That looks interesting. And all these people that, they never would have saw your stuff before. Now they're seeing it. And now this is a way for indies to get distribution, as opposed to right now, everything is kind of at an arm's length and going, no, we don't necessarily know whether or not this book is going to do well. We don't know who you are. We've never heard of you guys before. Yeah, it kind of looks okay, but, they come up with every reason in the book. Even a lot of the time they'll say things like, okay, well, I don't think that this book at this price point is going to succeed. So they'll tell creators that and they'll reject them. Well, with us, not only do you have that option to do the printing partnership program, but if you have a comic that you can only go, okay, well, it's got to be $5 because it costs this much to print, and we got to make sure we make something on it. Okay, that's fine. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say, oh, well, you have to really change that. We're going to have to, talk about that, and we're going to take that on because it's too much or whatever it is. It's let the customers decide. Let the customers decide.
This is a fantastic show, and I hope that people listen to Peter, what he's saying. And, I would love for Peter to sit down with Josh and Steve Jeppy, actually, to explain how, if there's anyone that really can save this industry, it's a model is what you're doing. And Niall said to me, he's like, Niall, we talked today, and he texted me, he's like, I know you have a lot of deadlines you're working on, but don't draw today. Mm-hmm. Sit down so we can sit and actually talk. This is going to be a great show, and that's why I've moved the Blevins Media Center over here to where I write.
I appreciate that, boy.
No, but this is a fantastic show.
What's great with
great shows this week?
I know, and what's great about having Peter on, and even when we talk not on a show, is you always kind of help get the gears spinning, man. You have these great ideas, and you're another infectious person. Your passion for what you're doing. And I'm saying it right, Peter? Right? Am I saying it right? Yeah. You're an infectious man. And no, what you're doing, it's just inspiring. Like, I'm sitting here, and as a host, I got to remember that I'm hosting, but I really just want to sit here and listen to you talk because it's new. What you're doing is new because there's just been this model that we've been stuck with. And, by right, the guys that have done it, kudos to them for building the business they have. I'm not going to knock them for what they did.
It's great.
It's fantastic.
Their facet of it is great. And if anything, I think Diamond would thrive even more so if they were able to just take care of being a premium publisher distributor.
Yes.
They're spread too thin. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like they've got the world on their shoulders here. They don't know what else to do with it. And they're crumbling under that weight. Yeah. So they need someone to come in and go, okay, you're an indie guy. You do reorders. We've got books that we want to put out. Okay, we can take care of that. Let's do that. If anything, I think there's a way that we can sort of coexist in a really great way, as opposed to this kind of thing where a lot of people say, okay, Diamond's got to get taken out and Diamond has to go.
They don't.
We don't. Yeah, and we don't want to necessarily see Diamond go because right now, they've got a lot of the big publishers that a lot of the retailers depend upon. Because I'm not going to make any lies about this here. It's indie comics. I'm not expecting you to get 10,000 orders on a book. Mm-hmm. I'm not expecting you to go through alternative distribution and you're earning 100% of your livelihood through that. This is a cog. This is another facet, another avenue for you to utilize. Mm-hmm. So, and maybe one day it gets huge. Who knows? But right now we're going to start small. We're going to grow. We're going to make sure that we stay flexible and adaptive.
Yes.
But we need Diamond around. We need Diamond, if anything. We need Diamond to focus on what they want to focus on, which is very clearly the top 5 to top 10 publishers. There's
And
nothing
that's
wrong with
okay.
that.
And that's a business. That's fine.
Exactly. And you know what? You need to it's just it's the circle of life. I'm sorry. You need to they're a big player. They're the only player right now at their level, and they need to stay, because what'll happen is, as Alterna Comics, if your distribution starts doing well, they will start to kind of, all right, we're going to change our focus. You know what, Alterna, you can have that. You know, you can deal with this portion and grow that section. And like you said, maybe they'll go more premium. Maybe they'll just stay with, you know, the big 3 to 5 publishers. You know, but there's all these other great indie books and things where, you know, Alterna distribution could be huge.
Absolutely.
You know? And in other avenues.
And he's giving a voice to those that don't have one. I mean, and a forum for them to showcase their talents and stuff. And you're taking the crowdfunding comics spectrum here, you know, and then you're taking the direct market here, and you're giving the Alterna to actually to bring them together for those that may not be your Image Comics. You may not.
we gotta bridge that gap. Right now, that gap, no one's bridging it.
Yep.
Yeah. There's just a ferry everyone's taking every now and then.
Yep. And so, guys, creators out there, it's a lot of work, right? Peter went through this. We've had this conversation so many times. When the marketing department's working, the research and development department's not working. When that department's not working, the art department's not working. And if you're looking for a home and you think you have a project or a product or a story or something like that, you have an issue. Or even remember, if you maybe self-published a book 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And the book's done, and people have forgotten about it, or forgotten about it, but you haven't. Send something Peter's way, and get that book back out there, because this is the new golden age of comics, of self-publishing and self-creation. It's like silent films again. That all of us can do this. It's a lot of work. It really is.
And the thing is, maybe you're brand new, right? And you got a title that is kind of a risk to the mainstream, let's say, right? It's brand new. You're a new creator, and I'll go, okay, well, you know what? Let's try it out. Let's get 20 copies in here that you've already got. Let's try out 20 copies, see how it goes, and then if that title, maybe that takes off. Maybe that issue just 20 copies gone in a day. Maybe you're good at promoting. You just need a spot. You just need a chance. So many people just need a chance.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's what this is. If you're someone who's like, man, if only I was able to get this out there, I know I could make it a hit. I know I'll bust my butt. I'll work hard. I'll tell everybody about this. If you could do that, and you get success with that, well, let's get more copies in. I say, hey, I want more. Let's get 100 now. Your 20 copies sold out like this. It's sold out in a day. As soon as we got them in, we couldn't keep them in. Yeah. So let's get more in. Let's, and those kinds of things. I'm gonna have like spreadsheets, like an Excel sheet. I hate metadata, but this is it's unfortunately part of the world.
Unfortunately, part of it. Yeah.
So it'll be one of those things of how many copies can you spare for us? Because I need to know too, if this thing takes off, I need to know. I can immediately send you an email and say, okay, we need 50, we need 100. But if you just have 20 copies to spare, and that's it. And you could do that too. That's fine. And all 20 copies sell it, then that's what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's 20 copies that go out into the world on comic shelves. And also, this thing, what's that D word everybody talks about? Diversity. You allow diversity of product to be out there, which is what we need more than anything. We need that more than anything. You allow retailers that option too, to diversify their lineup and product selection, which what happens when you diversify? You bring in different customers.
And new customers.
Exactly. So then now you have a book in a shop. Let's say you're a brand new creator. You've got a book in a shop for the first time. And on the Alterna distribution site, you'll know exactly what that shop is, because you can see, we'll list it. So now you can actually tell people in that area, you can say, go to this store. They've got my book. And you can actually even start to make connections and network with that shop and say, thank you for putting my book on your shelf. And you grow that relationship.
You know, and speaking of relationships and growing, this show, and I think that this incredible, we have 64 people watching right now, and I know it's and thank you guys for being here. I know it's prime time for all the big YouTube shows and things like that, but we're building this family and this incredible sense of positive energy. And what I love tonight, and Peter, the sage, we should call you Sage Peter.
Sage
Simeti.
Sage Simeti.
Sage Simeti instead of St. Peter because of the knowledge that you're expressing and the bridge building you're doing. I mean, you're Val Kilmer from the Ghost of the Darkness. You know what I mean? You're bringing.
Oh, good. I thought you were gonna say like Dr. Moreau.
Oh my God! Oh my God! You know, we should have a show on that. Oh, what
You're the crazy guy.
Right?
Oh my God, what a film that was. Oh my gosh! No, but I mean, we have this family here, this crowdfunding family of all these creators that are coming together, and it's just beginning. It's the beginning of the steamroll. You know what I mean? And you have guys like I said, like Peter here, that is giving you this knowledge for free. When there are people that are having these symposiums that are charging, $100 a head or something to come to. And Peter, rightly so, you deserve something like this.
Oh, well, I gotta go then. I gotta go. I gotta charge for this.
Yeah. No, but this is, I just see this, like I said, we have 61 people watching right now, and we have 62 likes. There's no dislikes. Wow. It's again, and it is a tough time. And as we've spoken, a lot of our viewers come on our show. The viewership builds because people are watching it maybe the next day or on their lunchtime and stuff. And we're not controversial. We're not moving it to the negative. And we're not And there's a lot of crap going on. And we do have these warriors going on, and they're confronting it head on. And they're calling out people's BS and stuff like that on their shows. And I watch them all the time myself. But this is so refreshing right now that we have someone like you on, Peter, and Niall, that we're now 48 shows in.
Yeah, we're 48 episodes in.
And I think this page and this entire genre of crowdfunding really has turned a page. There's something so electric right now happening, and anyone can do it. And someone like Peter coming in and another Peter, you're taking time away from your own creator-owned projects. Because it's a lot of time. I mean, you're putting a lot of energy into this.
Yeah, I got 1,000,001 ideas for stories, but I tell you, once the publishing bug bites, I got bit by a radioactive publishing bug.
Yeah. And you're wearing your business hat, though, but you're also a businessman. And again, I'm a big fan of Golden Age Hollywood or the silent screen and how Hollywood was created, as I am with Golden Age comics. And I'm seeing something now that is happening that has not happened in this industry since around 1994, 95. And it's wonderful. It really is. And it not only is it wonderful, but it's non-speculative. That the people are buying these books because they want to hear these creator voices. They want to read what these people have in their heads, what their ideas are. And you are going directly to the consumer. This is an amazing, astonishing time in comics, and they'll be writing about this 20 years from now. Right now, yes, they are ignoring the biggest story in comics right now. And the biggest story in comics is not another revamp or another universe shifting or reshaping of universe and killing old characters or revamping old characters. What's happening right now is our creators like Peter Simeti, and Niall and these other people out there watching us, and Mandy out here, and they're publishing their own books and going not through a middleman, not going through any kind of there is a resistance. There's always a resistance, but now you have the chance to actually reach out with something like this, a mouse, say, the computer screen, to go directly to people that are yearning for new product. And it is diverse, and this is the most diverse time in comics, and it's not forced. You're putting something out there. If people like it, they'll go for it. It'll work. Because not everything's going to work,
too,
right?
Amen, man. Amen. You're
right, not everything's going to work.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That don't work. But if say someone comes to you with a book and it doesn't work out, maybe it's not a big enough seller, maybe you cannot afford to keep doing this. You know what? They go home with all their rights.
Yep.
Yeah. It's all theirs at the end of the day. They got theirs, you got yours, and you move on. And I mean, and Bill, you're hitting the nail on the head. And we say it constantly. We are at the forefront of an era right now. It is truly, crowdfunding started years ago, but now is truly the time. And now we're building steam. I've gone around, I've talked to pros, and they flat out look at me and go, crowdfunding is the future. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I introduced
before
who
it
I
was
am.
the exception. Now it's
Correct.
the standard.
Now it's the standard. Like, these guys are looking like, and what's cool, it's like, they're like, let's exchange emails. Really? You want to exchange emails with me? Yeah, because I need to learn about this crowdfunding stuff. Like, it is spreading. Things are changing. And fortunately, all of us in the chat, us on the screen here, we're at the forefront of it. You know, we are the big comic company. You know, we're just a bunch of creators. Like, the whole crowdfunding process, we're all part of one right now. But we're all doing our own thing, and we're all helping each other.
Absolutely. That's
Everything, every single thing in life is all about making connections.
Exactly.
And making genuine connections. You know, I've had people try to make connections with me over the years, and many of those people were not so kind this time last year.
Right.
But you know, what a difference a year makes. You know,
Absolutely.
and I'm so grateful to be here. I'm glad that everything worked out the way it did.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it's kind of going to what I said earlier about rejection or about receiving a no, receiving any negative in your life. You know, it seems like the worst thing in the world. Boy, oh boy, last year it seemed like the worst thing I ever faced in my whole life, and I faced some pretty bad things. But last year,
that was a really tough thing. What happened.
Yeah.
And very unfair, and that's something that's a whole show dedicated to that and devoted to it.
Oh.
And you know,
turn the page, right?
Yeah, turn
Absolutely.
the page. I hope we've all moved on from those instances now. You know,
and you know what? There's going to be people all the time that come at you, and the thing is that you have to realize, and at this point too, I realize it. There's always going to be someone that wants to take you down a peg, take you down a notch, tell you you're not good enough.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let that burn a fire in you. You know, don't let anybody tell you you're not good enough. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. Don't let anybody tell you your dreams are not possible or they're foolish. Don't let anyone say that you can't do something that you want to do more than you've ever wanted to do anything in your life. Every fiber of your being, when you want to get into the arts or be a creative individual, you want to make a living doing whatever your dream is, you know, you can still do that. In some capacity, you can still do that. It's not about you have to be the best. You have to sell the most. You have to always do whatever. There's all kinds of ways you can still be successful. My compass for success isn't, you know, oh, I have so much money or I have so much things or I have whatever. It's all about what am I getting to achieve? Am I getting to achieve the things I want to achieve? Because if I'm doing that, then to me, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm succeeding. I'm doing something with my life. It means something. You know, at the end of the day, this person might have more than you. That person might have more than you. But you know what? There's that person who has less than you. And there's that person who has less than you. And that person who didn't get to accomplish the things they want to accomplish. So don't put yourself in that frame of reference to always bring yourself down by comparing yourself to others. Always look at it and go, you know what? I'm doing the best I possibly can right now. And that's good enough. And I'm going to keep doing that.
Yeah. And over time, I mean, with any craft, you will get better. You know, I look at I'm not a famous guy. I'm not really much of anything, but I look at what I'm doing now and I'm successful. I feel I'm successful at what I'm doing. And because I'm making so many great friends, I'm growing, you know, and one thing I'll tell you, and this is one thing I've learned my entire life, if someone ever told me something wasn't good enough, I never let it get me down. I was like, all right, well, why isn't it good enough? I would take that criticism and then I'd take that back and I'd sit down and I'd look at it. And you know what's funny? After you kind of take it, absorb it, maybe calm down a little, maybe you've heard a few things that you were just kind of like, I don't agree. But if you do actually turn it, flip it over, put it in a mirror, and you're like, oh, you know what, they're right. You know, they are right. You know what? You know, I'm not going to look at this as a negative thing. I'm going to turn this thing around. And every time I've done that, I've grown. And the more I've been able to adapt that way, I've grown quick. And in my, you know, daytime career, I've grown, you know, faster than most guys in my industry. And, you know, it's just because I never took a negative comment or feedback negatively. I always took it as a learning experience. I may not have liked hearing it, but I had to hear it.
And you're growing, right? And you're growing.
Yeah, growing.
Maybe you should go on a diet.
Oh! Look at this guy over here. This guy over here going to diet. Right. You hear me say? He said go on a diet, this guy.
Right.
All right, man. All right. You crazy, bro. But
I'm
no,
sorry.
seriously, just a real quick story, and then I'll stop, chatting it up here. But, I had another creator tell me, he sent out some stuff, and he wasn't 100% into the feedback, and he was like, I don't know if I really want to move forward with it. I'm like, why not? That's like amazing feedback. Like, take that and learn from it and grow. And not for nothing, dude, 95% of what you were told is good. Like, most people want to hear that.
Right.
You got to remember, someone's not going to, like, take it and be like, oh my gosh, great. This is amazing. You're not, it's not going to be it. You got that in your head, but that's not how it's going to be. So, don't give up. Never give up, unless it's, I don't know. If you give up, then, maybe it isn't the calling you thought it was.
Well, funny stories that graded, Peter graded .5. Said Peter Simeti channeling some Jim Valvano. Love it. And if anyone knows about Jim Valvano, the college basketball coach, he made a great speech, and he died of cancer, and he was very sick, and he was at the ESPY Awards, and that was a turning point in my life, actually, that I saw that. And Google it, guys. Look at what Graded wrote. Jimmy Valvano, ESPY Awards, and you got to see this speech. And this is the things that Peter's saying, and look at what Niall is saying, what happened in his life, and there's no one to tell you can't do something. No. And if you do try it and you fail, what the hell you got to lose? That's it. It's better than nothing. And this is the time. This is the time. This is the place. You've got people doing good things like Peter now, and like Peter's doing Alterna-ween, and that's the whole point of why we had you on, Peter, and we will have you on again if you'll come back on, especially when Alterna distribution kicks in. And please come back because you're wonderful. But the Alterna-ween is that you are selling incredibly comic books that cost less than someone would buy candy to give out to the kids in the neighborhood to something special. And I hope that we can really fuel this even more and push this even more. Is there a cutoff for the Alterna-ween?
Yes, it ends on August 31st, and it won't be in demand. It's just gonna end on that day.
Yeah, so you could do it. So guys out there, please share this. If you can contribute, if you want to go to your local Stop and Shop or King Cullen and spend all that damn money and give people tooth decay and diabetes, and then have at it. But if you want to expand young skulls full of mush and to form them into something wonderful and make scholars and judges of good scotch, buy some. Please contribute to this, like Niall and I will be doing, and let's share the love of literature and the love of adventure and wonder and horror and these all age comics and all age properties and things like that, and let's do that. Let's support this project because that's why we're here. And if we can, guys, if every one of you out there can at least share it, please do so. He's got 9 days left, and we got to get to that goal, but we want to get past that goal because we want to get even more books out there in the hands of children, and maybe even teens, and even maybe people like me, because I would love to hit a house that's selling books like that. And look at the art, right, Niall? My God.
No, I mean it has that D word to it, the diversity of characters and stories, and it's all ages. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a good book and a good story. And I hung out at the booth at Terrificon. I saw the books. I held some of the books, skimmed through stuff. I mean, Peter's a solid publisher, and he's got an eye for talent. I'm happy I got to know him now, so when he's really big, hopefully he'll still be my friend. But it's just cool, man. It's cool of what he's doing. And just this right here, I mean, come on. No one else is doing this. I mean, 25 books for $25, 200 books for $90. I mean, shoot. I mean, even if if your day job for any of you is like a teacher or anything, right? Maybe this is like another thing to give out to students. Jeez. I mean, anything to encourage reading, get the imagination going.
We've got a couple people on the campaign that are backers that they're teachers, and they're giving out the comics.
Yeah.
So he's selling comics. I'm explaining to my you hear my son's here. And it's wonderful. Why this isn't front page on Bleeding Cool and Bleeding Fool
We know
and on
why.
Newsarama?
Yeah.
What?
We know why.
Yeah, we know why. Absolutely. Again, it's enough. It's
Well,
not-
especially too, with what Tim Seeley had said last week about the fact that we just don't make comics anymore for kids. We're just not speaking to kids anymore with these things, and we're losing a whole wave, a whole generation of readers. And I'm just like, I got Alterna-ween running right now, and it's doing pretty decent. And we did it last year, and it did really good too. And I don't know what you're talking about. You just gotta make sure you're making comics too. You can't just say, oh, here's a comic and a kid's gonna like it. You have to make sure you're making a comic that not only a kid, that it's appropriate for them, but that it's a little bit not appropriate for them. It's got a little edgy, a little
It's Halloween. It's
know?
Halloween. It's a big naughty, right? I mean, it's All Hallows Eve, so that's private, and
these
that's
are
what Halloween's all about.
Truly all ages books. So we've got a lot of adult readers that love them. We've got a lot of kids that love them, and also this is what's great too about this whole thing. We've got a lot of parents that enjoy these comics with their kids, with their 5 or 6 or 7-year-olds. This was a great story last year, and it was for the Mr. Crypt book. There was I forget if it was a boy or a girl, but this reader was telling me how he shared it with, it was either a nephew or a niece, and they had dyslexia, and they have such a hard time reading, and they don't like it. It's frustrating, and they just hate it.
Right.
But they loved this Mr. Crypt book. That's this book here. It's a new series coming out soon, but last year was volume 1. And they loved that issue so much. They loved the character of Mr. Crypt so much that they kept looking at the comic. And eventually, before you know it, they go, hey, uncle, and I forget, I don't want to say the name just in case, but can I read this book to you? And they're like, okay, you can read it to me. And they start reading the dialogue. And he was telling me, he's like, I start kind of losing it. And I was like, man, that's the beauty of this. That's the beauty of comic books, man. They get kids. I even get emotional, like telling the story again, and when thinking about it, about how emotional they got. That's what these things do for kids.
Yes.
They don't just get them to love comics; they get them to love reading. Yeah. And a kid that loves reading doesn't stop loving reading, and that opens up a whole world for them. That opens up endless possibilities.
And I mean, not for nothing. I mean, kids that read a lot do better in school. It opens up their eyes. They become more artistic, more articulate. They have a better vocabulary. Studies show it really is. Yep. Yeah, it allows them to think better. And, the studies have shown, too. I mean, comic books just aren't, these little, 24-page books or whatever the pages are in that book. And, there's a lot to it. And a lot of studies show, comic books are they're very healthy for the mind. Because not the images and the fact that speaking of children, they're looking at the panels, and they have to follow the panels, and they have to follow the bubbles in sequential order so that they're getting everything down. They're also absorbing colors and images. Yep. They're seeing stylization. They're gaining vocabulary. So, I mean, comics, they're not just these fun books that we have, with cool images. Like, there's actually scientific data that it's good.
And what's so great, too, about comics, and to me what makes them, especially for kids, what makes them so superior to television or to movies, you can look at this panel, and if you're a kid that maybe reading, you struggle a little bit with it, you can take your time. You can do it at your own pace. You can absorb the information of the imagery, the words, at your own pace.
Yeah.
And the more you do that, the more you get used to it. And the more that you see the coordinated images with the words, the more you even start to learn from them. And the more they inspire you to start drawing your own characters and your own stories. And the thing is like, about the best stories ever, right? We always, and we'll go back to horror a little bit, right? So when I was a kid and I was watching Nightmare on Elm Street, when the movie ended, that's when it was scary. It wasn't really scary when I'm watching it. Because my mind is racing, my imagination's going. In my mind, I'm coming up with stories and scenarios of what's going to occur, and I'm scaring myself.
Yeah.
So good stories, no matter what they are, they get that imagination churning, and they start making all these kinds of wonderful images and characters and scenarios and situations. And then all of a sudden you get a kid a couple days later, they're drawing something. Hey, what you drawing over there? Oh, I'm drawing this character. It's, Mr. Boneface or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because they like Mr. Crypt, and then it's all that kind of stuff. And then before you know, it's literally what we all did as kids when we read comics, when we saw shows that we liked, when we watched movies we liked. We get inspired from these things. And that's what inspires the next generation of readers and creators. And that's what's so great about something like Alterna-ween. That's what I love. I love hearing about all the stories of the kids that especially when they get their comic for the first time, and then they're getting a comic on Halloween. How great of an image is that? You're a kid, you're out trick-or-treating, you've got all this candy, and then a house, and they give you comic books. And then you can go back, and you got your candy spread out, and you got your comic, and you're reading it on the floor. And you're like, man, what is this? And that's the thing, is that kids don't get to see comics as much anymore. Many of them don't get to see comics at all. Right. But on Alterna-ween, a lot of these kids get to see comics, and they get to fall in love with them. And they may have never, ever, ever came across a comic before that point. But now they love comics, and now they're aware of them. And that can set someone down a whole positive life path.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, again, back to just an infectious energy with what you're talking about, I love it, and what you're doing. And just, you're telling me this, and I'm picturing in my head a little kid just munching on some candy, exploring a comic book for the first time, or maybe even, has seen comics in the past, but now they actually have one on their floor with their candy, just eating away, getting chocolate in the pages, but just really just kind of, absorbing what they're seeing,
I got it.
Man, it makes me want to and it's inspiring for a creator, because I'm like, man, I hope my product does that. I hope when my book's done, kids will be getting chocolate and wrinkled pages and carrying it everywhere.
We have a little bit of time.
Yeah,
yes.
we're fine.
Well, Peter, my God, man, this is your show. I mean, last time we kept you on for 2 hours and a half, so hopefully we don't.
All right. So we'll try to do like a 20 minutes to half hour more.
Yeah, whatever. The floor is yours, my friend.
So this is my first ever comic book. I still have it. And it means the world to me, even though I loved it a little too much.
Yeah.
Now, this thing here features the very first coloring work by Peter Simeti. I decided that Spidey needs blue eyes. Corner Spider-Man, he needs some color on there. All the faces, they're blue faces. You can't really see them. They're not supposed to be purposefully darkened. They're colored in. Right? And my mom wrote my name on the comic, too. And she didn't just write it on.
And that's probably the first time a colorist was credited on a Marvel comic. Well done.
So in here she got my name on the top too, which is kind of funny, and on the back. But also, right, I was about maybe 5 years old when I read this comic. Wow. They've got the subscription page in the back. Mm-hmm. I checked a couple boxes off. I'm still waiting for these subscriptions, Marvel. So I had wanted Captain America, Daredevil, Fantastic Four, Incredible Hulk, and Iron Man, apparently. But this was, this is something that later on, of course, when I was an adult, I saw it out, a mint condition copy as well. But I'm never, ever, this one's way more valuable to me. Yeah. I'll never, ever get rid of this one. And it's in tatters and torn and it doesn't, hold together anymore. But, a lot of love, a lot of memories.
What's
this is on, smells like newsprint.
Oh, man.
So it's all I can think is this is my well-loved comic, and I've got all my comics from when I was a kid. I was fortunate enough to get into comics at such a great time too. Yeah. I've got an Incredible Hulk with McFarlane art and Uncanny X-Men with Silvestri. Mm-hmm. And when I was a kid, it was all these things. But I still have them, and they still mean the world to me, and they're in pieces. But I'm not letting them go. I'm not throwing them away. I love them. They mean a lot. And the thing is if I didn't have those comics, if I didn't fall in love with comics as a kid, I don't know if we're here talking right now. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it sounds like
Yeah.
you had supportive parents. Like I had a very supportive parent, my mom says, you had when I gave you, you had a crayon in your hand at 2 years old and you didn't watch TV. And, when she took me to a comic shop, because, my sister wanted to go into the place, like I lit up when I saw the books, and I pointed at the, I was like, oh, I want that book. And, it was Batman Shadow of the Bat #1. And they had 1, 2, and 3. And my mom bought 1, 2, and 3. And those are my first comic books, right, that I bought. And obviously I inherited others around the same time when people realized I was so into them. But just like you, they're in the room over there. And, I pull them out every now and then. Just, I've drawn in them, just like yours. But my covers aren't attached. But, it's just the covers there, just the staples aren't. I mean, it's so cool it's just cool to share that stuff, man. So the nostalgia, that keeps it alive.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that's what this is all about. It's all about the fact that, and again, they made this comic. They didn't exactly think it would do anything other than entertain whoever was going to read it. And it's the same thing with all of our comics. We all go into it thinking we want to tell a fun story. We want people to get entertained from this, and that's that's kind of where your thought process generally seems to end, and then you move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then years later, let's say you're to meet somebody and they're like, that was my first comic, and now I'm it changed my whole life.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'd be without that comic.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Billy, I'm sure you've had people where it's like, wow, I can't believe, like, I'm meeting Billy Tucci. Billy, I've got a funny story for you too, because at Big AppleCon,
never.
at Big AppleCon, never. Boy, okay. Well, I got a story then for you, and this was
Hey,
me.
Peter, let me just interject 1 second. Hang on to your story. I just want to give some recognition.
Okay.
We just got another super chat from Red Gaze, who says, "Listen, I love you guys, but you can't be stealing my lovely co-host Mandy every day of the week. Sharing is caring."
Now we have the beautiful Mandy. No, she's ours.
She's ours now.
keeping her
No,
up.
Mandy, if you have other obligations, please don't let us hold you up. All right? We respect everyone.
Yes, we do,
But
man.
if you don't show up, you're fired.
No.
No, I'm joking.
Oh my gosh.
All right, Peter, back to the
We
story.
have the most beautiful lady on YouTube, and she is our partner, and we're incredibly honored to have her with her. So, Mandy, of course, I mean, man, you've got things to do, don't you, Mandy? So if you want to, and she's just, machine gun
She's like
texting right now.
She's been doing great. She's been
yeah.
really helping out with promoting and being in the chat. It's been awesome.
Oh, yeah.
You're wonderful. We adore you, Mandy. We do.
I knew when I'd give her a wrench, she would take it. The power is at her fingertips. Yes. All right. Well, let's get back to Peter's story. What was it? Was you say AppleCon?
Yeah, I was at Big AppleCon in 2008, and it was my first show ever. We didn't even have any. I had no books out yet. We were just kind of getting promotional stuff out, and I saw Billy there, and I saw Billy had a bunch of people at his table, and I was like, oh my God, there's Billy Tucci. Like, man, oh man, like I really liked She my whole life, man. That's so awesome. And I was like, what am I gonna say though? I'm not gonna say anything. Like, who am I, right? And then all I could think is 11 years later, and now here we are, and we're talking. So you never know what's gonna happen, And back then, I just thought, what am I gonna do? Oh, Billy, I love your comics, and
By George, man, we had the same conversation back then.
But yeah, it's crazy to think about that, and it's crazy to think this is something like this. This is where you follow your passion in life, you follow what you love. And for a time when I was a teenager, I think a lot of us are the same way. I got into music, and I kind of deterred a bit. I went away a little bit, veered from comics.
Right.
And I still always loved comics, but I kind of gave up on them a little bit. I still had the toys and the comics and everything else. I didn't get rid of them at all. But, and then I came back to it because I was like, I miss it. I miss drawing. I miss reading them. I miss being, in a comic shop. I missed all of it.
Yeah.
And all I could think is if it wasn't for comics, I don't know where I'd be right now. And it's every single part of my life. I don't know what I'd be doing right now. It's just a part of me. It's just it's every fiber of me. So it's awesome that I'm able to talk to you guys and actually it was funny because I turned to Erin, my wife, the other day when Billy was calling me up, and I'm like, this is surreal. I'm talking to Billy Tucci here. I'm like, and I told her the story that I was so chicken shit about even just going up to him and saying, hey, I'm a fan, and I felt like, what do you do at that point? I'm just starting out, and now I'm talking to him, and I know Billy.
No. You get this all wrong, sir. I am talking to you. You're not talking to me. I'm talking to you. This is your show. This is your platform. I'm just a squirrel trying to get a nut. This is Simeti world. This is Alterna world. I just choked on something.
He's choking on the nuts he's trying to get.
This is your world, brother, and what you're doing for people. It's
swallowed your own tongue.
my tongue or my son. I don't know what I swallowed. Something. But no, this is a joy to me. Again, the conversations I've had with my friends, my fellow self-publishers when I got back into it, because, I did my book for 10 years. I did, She for 10 years. And we did, close to 100 issues, plus we published a lot of other books and stuff, and you just get burnt out. And then I started doing mainstream stuff, and I had a lot of fun with that, doing all the, big books and things like that. But now that I've gotten back into self-publishing again, and you're a big part of this, Peter, and Nyla, absolutely you are, is spending that time with Robin Moore and Terry Moore in San Diego, spending time with my other friends that are, these other self-publishers and stuff, and getting back and rekindling that passion I had of over 20 years ago. And that's why, we're doing the show. And because it's just wonderful. It's just, like I said, this incredible sense of positive energy and of joy, and also of possibility of that we can do this. The next Peter Simeti's out there. The next Robert Kirkman's out there. The next Terry Moore, Jeff Smith's out there. The next Kevin Eastman's out there. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
These creators are out there. This is your time. The world is there for you to take it now. And we can do this. And I got to tell you, I feel so invigorated. It's unbelievable. It's wonderful. And I'm so happy and so thankful for guests like you, and for you, Niall, for all the work that you do that people don't realize. And we do get a lot of people want to come on to our show, and they email Niall and stuff. And Niall, we're booked all the way into October. We're
never without guests.
Right. But this is something fun for us. This is our, and Niall's got two, twin 1-year-old boys at home. You know what I mean? And he takes that time away from that. And
they are mine.
And they are.
That's a good thing.
If they are yours.
I found that out.
Yeah. Oh, they are? You did find out?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was we just had a creepy mailman. It was fine.
Oh, God, I'm still waiting on that myself, so we'll see how I... But
you know what? You talk about being invigorated in what you're doing, man. But like, I look at the artwork you're putting out, and you can see that energy. You can see with what you're posting and what you're showing. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I'm a man that believes in, everything happens for a reason. You cross paths with people. You meet people for a reason. Because if you think about it, there's no reason why any of us should know each other, but we do.
Yeah.
And
it's all for the love of one thing, and it was all printed on newsprint, and smelled great, and it's an amazing, astonishing gift that we've been given, and now that we can share this and talk to our other friends out here, this little family that we have that's building every single show. It's wonderful, and that's carried over into my mainstream work now that I'm doing. The covers I do for the mainstream publishers and stuff. I think that my work today, and Debbie told me this, is that my work today is better than it was 10 years ago, and it's all about this fire that's been rekindled in me about doing my own books, because I don't have to. It's so funny because I don't need them. I'm not relying on them. I'm relying on my own stuff, and people are now coming to me. So many people have come to us in San Diego, or before that, basically since San Diego, to do cover work, to write stories. You know what I mean? The big two, and it's all because I think of this confidence that I have in myself, and this refound passion for creating. It's enthusiastic, right, Peter? I mean, your enthusiasm is contagious, and people are grabbing onto that, and it's a fantastic time. And now that this kid that I did find out if he is my son, I did deduce that he is my son because of this. What? Right? Matthew, let me see your. No, you're. So he has my hands. He's got my middle finger. That bends. Go like this the other way. Oh wait, wrong hand, wrong hand. Yeah, let's do that.
Everybody grab a screenshot right now.
Right?
And then-
Seriously. Billy and
There you
his
go.
son.
So yeah. My God, his hands are bigger than mine already. Oh my God,
What?
this kid.
No.
They are.
No.
Your
This
fingers
is what Billy
are bigger
Tucci
than
thinks of
mine. No, I
fans.
guess- No.
Yeah, that's what Billy Tucci thinks of
Look
fans.
how big that
Everyone.
kid's finger is. What the
You're all
hell?
motivating.
So
Oh my
anyway,
god, that's great. Oh man,
anyway, Alterna-ween, right? We've got how many days left? We've got 6
Yeah.
days,
9 days.
8 days
9
left.
9 days.
Guys, let's share this. Mandy, you've been wonderful. I mean, we don't keep them up too late.
You have 4 backers since we started the show.
Oh,
well,
yep. So
dude,
you, got 4, you went
and
from
again-
124 to 128. You know, Billy and I believe, you know, well, I will be, and I believe Billy
I'll
said
be in
too.
it. I'll be absolutely. I'll be in it. Yep.
We'll be back
We're
in
gonna
this
get-
when we're off the air.
we're getting real close to unlocking the Long Box Strong shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's of course anyone that knows, you know, you got that hidden geek strength if you can lift up that long box with ease.
Yeah.
So that's just a fun shirt that we're going to unlock at 150 backers. I
Mhm.
think it's only about what 22 backers away from that. We're at 43.43 it looks like, and that's what is that $657 from the goal. Yeah,
Mhm.
we're gonna be there. We're gonna be there within a day or two. The way things are going,
Yeah, you'll
And
do
I'm-
it.
Yeah.
I'm
you'll get
hoping
there.
that what I'm really hoping is we can raise at least $1,000 more past the goal. And the reason I say that is because we're also doing this. Is on the campaign. It says Alterna-ween is also giving back. So at Alterna, we believe in giving back to the community. So for every $1,000 raised past our goal, we'll donate a box of 100 comics to various children's hospitals. So kids that can't go out trick-or-treating for Halloween can still have a few goodies on that day. And we're gonna, no matter what, we're donating a box of 100 anyway. But I want to get it to, you know, that extra 100 too.
Yeah, that's remarkable, man. Yeah, everyone, let's help push and get this. I mean, this is such a good thing that's going on here. I mean, it's not going, you know, kids are going to go door to door and get these comics, and then kids that can't make it, you know, we'll have them delivered to them. So I mean, that's admirable.
Yeah, we donated a bunch of them. Actually, Lee Ditzworth in the chat, he opted last year, and I wonder if he's going to do it this year too. I know he backed it, but last year as well, he donated comics to a children's hospital, and we shipped them out there. There was at least, I think, between backers and ourselves, we donated close to 1,500 comics to kids last year that were in children's hospitals.
Lee is a prince. He really is.
Absolutely.
He is a prince, and he is everything that comics are about.
Mm-hmm.
He's a wonderful supporter. He's a wonderful friend. He encourages you. But he's he's no BS type of guy too, though. I mean, but he likes something. If there's something that he likes, it's something that he believes in. He'll push it all the way, and we're all the better for knowing guys like Lee.
Mhm.
So thank you,
Absolutely.
Lee. If you can hear, thank you so much.
Yeah,
So-
and it looks like in the chat he said that he did do that. He opted to give some comics to some more kids this year with children's hospitals. So yeah, that's great. I can't wait to. I love getting those out. I love getting those out there because I know that those kids are going to get a nice some happiness on that day, and it's going to be a fun day for them too, and they're going to be included on that.
He's a great man, as are you, Mrs. Simeti. St. Peter,
Yes.
Sage Simeti.
Yes.
You
And
guys,
then, Saint Simeti. Oh. All right, is everyone ready to receive their little
Communion.
cookie?
Your cookie.
Well, we can't do communion. It's not, it's cookie time.
Your cookie. Your Jeez-It.
Yeah, your G's it.
get a wafer of newsprint,
There you go.
and you
It's got like
better
a printing of the
better
character
leave
on
it in your mouth.
Yeah.
Let it
Well
dissolve.
done. Well done.
Yeah. All right, so why don't we jump? We'll jump into our second crowdfunding call out for tonight.
All right.
This came via email. They asked for a little support and help for a little bit of a push. So we have Tales from Nerosville issue 1, 2, and 3. The video's kind of long, so I'm not going to play typically I do play the videos, guys. You know that. But if anything's over, 2.5 minutes, I will now refer them to you guys to watch on your own. So check this out. Fun book, 3 issues to go. The art's great. The colors are great. if you got some time after this show, please check this out and help support another great indie creator out there.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, it looks great. And that
Yeah.
book can go head to head with any Marvel or DC book.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good panels, great stuff. So, guys, check this out and, support if you like it, man. Let's just continue helping out another indie creator. So, this is Tales from Nero'sville, issue 1, 2, and 3. And also, while we're here, don't forget to head over to www.alternacomics.com if you want to know more about what's on the publishing block, which books they have coming out, the schedules, comics, submissions, any information that you need, head on over to Alterna's website. And all that information will be there for you. And not only that, friends, we have one more in this deal of goodies. Alterna Comics has a YouTube channel. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe today. Wait, what does it say? Subscribed? Oh, that's right. Because Crowdfunding Comics has subscribed to Alterna Comics.
Look at that.
Man, mind blown. So just
God
there's some
bless.
God bless America. And if you want to...
God bless America, indeed.
God bless America and the moon. We will return.
Yes.
Alternative distribution has already begun. I was watching this while I was setting up the show today, and I'll have to finish that. But, there's some great videos here, stuff about the books, topics, drawing, live drawing. If you guys don't know, Peter's an artist as well. So he does a lot of sketch cards and things of that nature. So check that out. So that's... I think let me catch my breath now, and I'm back to you.
That's the whole.
That's you,
spiel.
Billy.
What a
All
fun,
right,
it's
I'm out.
It's just been a fun, out of control show, and I love it
Yeah.
because I just
it's
wanted
been
to bring back the energy. I think from traveling so much, and I was a little somber, I guess, for the past couple of weeks, and I'm like, the hell with this. We're gonna go see a band in the local town square, and I'm gonna come back like an imbecile, I guess, and having fun. And I've had so much fun on tonight, Peter, and just thank you for being one of our favorite guests as always. It's an honor to have you on. We had a marathon the first time you were on. I think you were the first guy for us to really go past 2 hours, I guess.
Oh,
now,
Yeah,
right?
I think we're close to almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
Which right now we're at 2 hours 15 minutes on the timer here.
Yeah.
Since we've been on because we went on a little later, but yeah,
Yeah.
no, I mean it's always great having you on, Peter. And it was so much fun on the panel and having you. I mean, I wish that panel that hour went by way too fast.
Oh, it
way
did.
too
Yeah.
fast.
Boy, I
Absolutely.
couldn't believe when it was done.
So, Peter, I mean, do you have any other conventions in your schedule?
I've got, let's see, on September 14th and 15th, I've got Granite Con in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Would you
Nice.
consider going to the Southern New Hampshire Comic Bash, the Great Southern New Hampshire Comic Bash in Nashua?
When is that?
It is October 20. It's a Saturday. I think it's October 26th or 27th.
Yeah. Probably not because I've already promised the store I'd be doing a signing on that day.
All right. Well, what are you doing
And,
that night?
That night, heading home and then getting ready to do Portland Comic Expo the next day.
Well, all right.
And
Okay.
where do you
Yeah,
live? What's
I
your
know.
address?
Yeah.
Why is that funny? I can't even do it with a straight face.
But yeah, I looked into that and I was like, oh, it's too bad. I already promised a shop. But yeah, I've heard that's a good show. You're gonna be there, right?
Yes, it's gonna be a fun show. It's got me, Frank Thierry, Jimmy Palmiotti, Amanda Connor.
Now,
Mike Cho is going to be there. Couple other guests. It's a fun show. It's in Nashua, New Hampshire, at the Holiday Inn. It's a real old fashioned Comic-Con with carpeting and everything like that in the ballroom. And then there's a pirate ship. Actually, the hotel, the ballroom was built around this pirate ship.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And it's an amazing. It's an amazing and Randy House is throwing a huge a huge Halloween bash that night. It's a lot of fun, and I just encourage people to go. I'm really looking forward to going there and spending
Rooster
time.
Puncher wants to go.
Rooster Puncher, where do you live? Come by, old chum. We'll have a good time.
Rooster is one of your guys, right, Peter?
Yeah. He's the guy that actually is doing the signing with me because he's got Voidwalker coming out.
Oh, nice.
And the Voidwalker's a fun book. It's a supernatural crime horror noir.
Nice.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's
Rooster Puncher, you're busy.
It's really good. But if he wants to travel, he's more than free to travel and do whatever he wants to do. But I got to be up and ready to go
Where's
the next day.
Where's Rooster Puncher located?
He's in Connecticut.
Oh, he
gee,
is?
It's Rooster
Yeah.
Puncher?
Rooster Puncher, I'm in Connecticut.
Scala's going. Scala and Farah are coming, his wife. Sorry, I didn't mean to say your wife's name. But Scala and the wife are coming. You know, she doesn't know it yet, but they're coming to the Halloween party that night.
She doesn't know it, but she's going.
She doesn't know yet. She's going.
She has no clue. I'd be like, hey, you want to go to that new... And then I'm going to throw her in the car.
There you go. Peter, Brian Blevins said, Alterna Comics, there are government grants for alternative education programs. Have you ever thought about offering Alterna-ween or any other kid-targeted effort backed by government money? Have you ever thought about that, or do you know of these avenues?
Yeah, usually they've got some pretty, as far as what I've seen, some pretty strict guidelines of what you need to follow to have certain things put out and to get that grant money.
Right.
So I'm not entirely sure that we would be a good fit for that because of that.
Yeah.
Because it then would involve creating a whole comic based around pushing it towards that. Whereas with Alterna, it's all about pushing the creator vision. We don't want to. To me, I feel like it's a slippery slope to start getting down that road.
Yeah.
You start kind of getting away from what Alterna is all about, which is celebrating the creator vision, 100% creator owned, that kind of a thing. But yeah, I mean, it's something that I think other publishers definitely should be looking into that, especially if they got some kind of licensed property that would be good for kids too.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many interesting things you can do with comics. I just want to see more publishers do more interesting things. I feel like we kind of stagnated in this industry, as opposed to the indie side of it. That's crazy. It's booming. It's wonderful to see.
Yeah.
Well, you are on the vanguard of that, my friend. You're the tip of the spear, and it is a privilege to be following in your footsteps and to be taking this journey with you, because you are an extraordinary young man. You really are.
Well, thank
It's
you,
an
Bill.
honor to have you on.
If it wasn't
Always a
for
pleasure.
pioneers like yourself, it wasn't for pioneers like
Pioneer.
you paved the way for us indie guys to
Where's
see that
my-
hey, that's possible.
Where's my coonskin cap? I do have a
You
musket.
got it in the back.
I do have a coonskin cap, but I also do have a Davy Crockett. I have my musket up there if you
You
get
got
it.
a lot of interesting things in the foreground.
I'm a man for that. What else? You know, see, you said to keep my mic up there, Blevins. How dare you, Blevins? I mean, not Blevins. Not Blevins. I'm looking at Blevins. How dare you, Scala?
What are you talking about? I
You're
wasn't
making-
talking about the mic.
Yeah.
I was talking about what's behind you.
You know, you said it in the forefront. That's what you said.
Oh, no. I said whatever. The background.
All right.
forefront,
Well, you know, I've
whatever.
had
I don't
about
know.
enough of this funny
It's
business.
11:30, my friend.
is.
Here in,
And I
here in
need
old
to- yeah.
Connecticut.
All right, boys. I think we've done enough. Alterna-ween is live on
Alterna-ween.
Indiegogo right now.
Yes.
Please, guys, if you can't pledge, please share. At least share it with your social media, with your friends, with your family. It really is a great cause. This is the kind of thing that you could share with your mom, you know, and say, Mom, what about doing this? And she doesn't have to go to the store to get it. It'll come to her.
Yeah.
She just orders the gosh darn thing. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Share with everybody you know, whether or not they love comics or don't love comics. This is something that everybody can get in on because it's all about incorporating comics as trick-or-treats for Halloween. And we're so close to that goal. And we've got all kinds of other things on there too. So if you don't have trick-or-treaters and you still want to support, you can get a beanie, a hat, a shirt. You can get comics for yourself. You know, maybe donate the doubles to a local school, local library, children's hospital. And there's all kinds of ways you can still support and get some great comics, help support Alterna, get some great merch too. And hopefully we can unlock some of those stretch goals and get more backers on there too, because there's a couple things that a lot of people really want. And they're kind of trying to pressure me every day. Okay, if we don't reach this, will we still unlock it anyway? And so I gotta weigh that out and see what's what. But we'll see.
yeah.
That'll be a last.
Let's reach it and unlock it.
Yeah, that'll be a last
energy.
day or
We're gonna
two
do it.
decision.
We got the
Awesome.
days. Let's do it. You know, enough of this funny business. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Enough's enough.
Enough's enough.
Make it so.
All right, guys. So we just had another amazing. I mean, I don't even know how I'm gonna sleep. I'm like pumped with energy right now. I guess I'll draw for a little bit or something. Who knows? You know. But hey, again, Peter, thank you so much for joining us again. You are part of the Crowdfunding Comics family, and you are always welcome on whenever you want. If you have a great show idea, if you want to be a special guest, if you want to be a guest and you got something great you want to talk about, or you want to email us and say, hey, I'm bored tonight. Let's chat. Let's make it happen, dude. Let's do this. And you know you're always welcome. And we had such a lively group out there chatting. Got so many compliments, people just supporting what you're doing. And again, man, thank you for filling me up and re-energizing another part of my battery. You know, I love your energy and what you're doing. And Billy, you know, next week we've got some more great shows lined up for you. Guys, Tuesday we have Doug TeNapel back on. We got the very talented Chris Campana on Wednesday, and we have Crystal on Thursday. So I'll make sure to get those promos up ahead of time, and we're going to start getting our schedules out ahead of time for you guys as well. So, you know, you can start bookmarking and you know, getting more advanced information on what will be broadcasting.
And a lot of fun new shows coming up. A lot of fun stuff we're going to be doing. We're going to be trying different genres, interviews. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're expanding, and I'm so excited. I really am. And Peter, again, my friend, it is a privilege to be on with you. It really is.
Definitely.
Pleasure's all mine, guys. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Peter. All right, everyone. Have a great night. Mr. Tucci?
Mr. Scala? Mr. Simeti?
It's the end of the week, and we'll be back next week.
Yes, the vowels are out. The men whose last names end in vowels are out.
All right, everyone, have a great night. We'll see you Tuesday next week. In the meantime, get some books. Support some Alterna-ween too. All right,
Alterna-ween.
All right, everyone, have a great night.
Good night, guys.
Night, guys.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Good night, Peter.
Night, Peter.
Thank
you,
everyone.
Jan.
Good night.
All right.
Hey guys, thanks again for tuning into Crowdfunding Comics. We look forward to hanging out with all of our crowdfunding fans every time we go live. And don't forget to click the link below and subscribe to our channel. And there's a little bell, you may want to hit that too. This way you get all the great notifications when we go live and when we upload some awesome content. You want to follow us? Sure, go right ahead at Twitter at CrowdFundComics with an X, Instagram, Crowdfunding Comics, and Facebook at Crowdfunding Comics. Till next time, crowdfunding fans, we'll see you soon.